Tonight from Fenway Park, the Red Sox entertain the Oakland A's in the first of a 3-game series. In fact, the Sox will be here on Yawkey Way for 13 of the next 16 games as they look to get rolling here in the month of May. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Fenway. Great to have you with us tonight. I'm Dave O'Brien, and good to see Jerry Remy as well. And, Jerry, talk about rolling. That's Jackie Bradley right now, having hit in 14 in a row.
Oh, he really is. And, you know, we always talked about Jackie Bradley, the way he plays center field. If he could just hit 260 or better, you probably got an all-star type caliber player. And you've got one right now because Jackie's doing everything. And one of the reasons I think he's swinging the bat so well is he's found the opposite field. He's able to drive the ball now hard to the opposite field. As you see a home run he hit in Chicago, he can also pull the ball deep for home runs and then back to the opposite field for an extra base hit. So, you know, to me, that's the biggest difference in Jackie Bradley Jr. right now than, say, a year ago or 2 years ago, the fact that he's using the whole ballpark. And look at the numbers in this 14-game hitting streak. A .360 batting average. He's hit 3 home runs, driven in 11 runs. The OPS is up somewhere around where it teases, over 1,000. That's the longest active streak in the major leagues, also a career high for Jackie Bradley. And right now, he is doing just everything for the Red Sox. He's become the player that I think we all hoped he would be. And
looking very, very comfortable at the plate.
Yes, he is.
All right, so it's game 1 of the series against the Oakland A's tonight. Great to be back home here at Fenway Park. And Clay Buchholz is on the hill. He is trying to continue what he did in Chicago the other day when he was just brilliant against the White Sox. And the first pitch is right around the corner. BuyAToyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. By Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. By Subaru Retailers of New England, supplying award-winning all-wheel drive vehicles throughout New England. By DraftKings, the official one-day fantasy baseball partner of your Boston Red Sox. By the 2017 Kia Sportage, visit anykiadealers.com to learn more. By Digital Federal Credit Union, see what DCU can save you. And by Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. Just a beautiful night for a ball game back at Fenway Park. Red Sox and the Oakland A's. And as we toss it down to Gary, there's no question that Clay Buchholz has in mind a repeat performance of what he did in Chicago just the other night.
OB, it was an absolute gem, so of course they're going to want that. I got 3 simple questions for you, 3 simple answers. As we're talking to David Ortiz, is Clay Buchholz going to do all right tonight?
Oh, you got it.
He's going to crush it. He's going to crush it. We know he's going to crush it. What else are we going to expect tonight from Clay?
Do I look the good as you look?
Not a shot. Not a shot. You still look good, though. Big Papi looks good. Maybe I hurt his feelings. I don't know. Listen, Clay Buchholz hoping to hurt the Athletics' feelings because coming off that win in Chicago, we've seen this song and dance before. Has he struggled early in the season? Yes. Is he showing indications that he's coming out of that slump? Yes, we've seen this before, and so has John Farrell.
I think he's able to draw from the confidence of a recent outing and build on it. We've seen it in the past, whether there's just been one start that triggers a run that he goes on, but we've seen in many of the years he's been here in Boston that once that run begins, he's able to sustain it for quite a while. And you know, we're starting to get a little bit more continuity out of our rotation in general, and Clay would be a big part of that.
Now, certainly you want to proceed with caution because that outing against the White Sox was fantastic. Of course, the White Sox, one of the hottest hitting teams in the American League during the time of Clay Buchholz's start. And with the Athletics, with the 19th best batting average in the league, hopefully we see a repeat performance tonight from one Clay Buchholz on this sunny day from Boston. Finally, we're almost in the middle of May, and we're going to see some sun, and we're also going to see some more sun from Oakland. Clay Buchholz opposite that guy, Sonny Gray. First pitch coming up.
BuyAToyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. By Sullivan Tire and Auto Service. By your New England Audi dealers. And by Plain Ridge Park Casino, the official sponsor of winning. Red Sox home for this homestand. About to take on the Oakland A's for the first time here in 2016. The A's lineup is brought to you by your New England Chevy dealers. Coco Crisp will lead it off. He's in center. Then Jed Lowry and Josh Reddick. So a lot of former Red Sox. Chris Davis in left. Stephen Vogt is the DH. Valencia at third. Alonso at first base. Josh Begley doing the catching. Marcus Semien is the shortstop and number 9 hitter. As the Red Sox starting pitcher is presented by your New England Audi dealers. That is Clay Buchholz, 1-3 with a 5.71 ERA.
The Red Sox defense is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. They are first in the American League, 11 errors in 31 games. Travis Shaw will be at third base. Xander Bogaerts the shortstop. Dustin Pedroia at second. Hanley Ramirez the first baseman. Left to right, Brock Holt, Jackie Bradley Jr. and Mookie Betts. And Christian Vasquez doing the catching for Clay Buchholz.
Tonight's umpires are brought to you by ToyotaCertified.com. David Rackley behind the plate. Larry Vanover at first. Alfonso Marquez at second. Chris Guccione is the umpire at third. And we're available. This telecast can be heard in Spanish by selecting the SAP button on your TV remote. SAP presented by ToyotaCertified.com. Search for your factory-backed Toyota certified used vehicle right now.
Buenas noches, amigos.
Jerry, great to be back with you.
Nice to be back with you, Dave. And a pretty good road trip for the Red Sox. 500.
Yep, 3-3. And won a tough series there in Chicago. Beating a very good White Sox team. And picking up a win last night at Yankee Stadium on Sunday night. Red Sox getting in about 3 o'clock this morning. Back at Logan. And Coco Crisp hitting .234, about to lead things off. Of course, remember the Red Sox between 2006 and 2008.
Yeah, certainly always a threat to bunch. You got Travis Shaw in the grass at third base and Hanley in a little bit close at first base.
And it'll be in there for strike one, and we're underway. Coco now 36 years old. Jed Lowry after him, and then Josh Reddick. So 3 consecutive former Red Sox. And up and away to make it 1-1. Now Clay, in a performance absolutely necessary for his own and the ball club's confidence, went out and dazzled in Chicago last Wednesday. Won that game 5-2, a 3-hitter over 7 innings. And he said later, if I could paint a picture, I think tonight would be what everybody would want to do, meaning that performance.
Watching that game, David, it just looked to me like he was much more aggressive, more conviction with his pitches in that ball game.
Yeah, he really attacked. The 2-1 to Coco. 2-2.
A cut fastball that time down and in to Crisp. And now with 2 strikes, the infield can move back.
Now the A's just lost 2 out of 3 in Baltimore before coming to Fenway. Lately, their pitching staff has been giving it up, and they are not scoring runs either. 2-2. Just missed.
Starting pitching in particular has been a problem for the Athletics. And the only real threat they have in the lineup right now is Josh Reddick. You'll talk about his numbers when he comes up.
He's absolutely on fire right now. Bob Melvin, their manager, would like that ERA to come down. 3-2 on the way. Spoiled by Coco.
And too close to take right there for Crisp. A fastball outside. A little bit, maybe 4 or 5 inches outside, but he takes a hack at it and does foul it off to give himself another chance. 2 strikes. You got to be aggressive around that plate.
Clay Buchholz with a 3-2 pitch, and time is asked for by Coco.
And Clay shakes off the curveball, shook off the cut fastball. Let's see what he goes to. Back to the 2-seam fastball inside.
And he walks him. So Coco is on as Buchholz walks his first man. And tonight's weather is brought to you by Benjamin Moore, the official paint of the Boston Red Sox. Right now 60 degrees and mostly clear. A lot of sunshine today. Just a beautiful afternoon on into the evening now here at Fenway.
And a wind tonight blowing out toward the bullpen areas here at Fenway Park.
Oh, here's Jed Lowry hitting .304. No homers, 17 runs batted in. He has returned to the A's after a year in Houston, and they've got him at second base. Trying to hold up. Did he go? He did not, according to third base ump Guccione.
Actually looked like a pretty good pitch that time to Jed Lowry. Maybe just missing a little bit low. Take another look at that last pitch by Buchholz. The fastball, is it too low? Very close.
That was a strike to David Ortiz the other night.
Well, I'll say.
Man. Jed is coming off 2 rough seasons with the bat. 222, 9 home runs last year. Chris back in standing up.
If you watch Chris take his lead at first base, one thing he uses is an open stance. And sometimes when you do that, it helps you get a jump towards second base, but there's a big crossover when you get back to the bag. But he'll use that slightly open stance. That right leg will be behind the left leg. And a couple of quick throws by Buchholz. A lot of times early in the game, that area right there is a little bit wet. They just watered down the infield.
Look what Hanley did.
Yeah, I saw that.
He just took it right out. That little foothold. The 1-0 pitch. He would not chase.
And after Chris did his work, Hanley went over and took care of that work, and Coco gets a kick out of it.
Hanley picking up the finer points of playing first base. Here's the 2-0. Fly ball toward the left field line. On his horse is Holt. That's going to take a bounce in fair territory and get past him. Has to pick it up on the warning track area, heading to third, Coco Crisp, and it gets right through Shaw, and both runners will be safe at second and third.
Well, you know, Dave, we mentioned the breeze blowing toward the bullpen. That ball looked like it was going to slice into foul territory, but it got pushed back a little bit, as you can see right there, and just barely landing in fair territory. It bounces over the head of Brock Holt, and Coco, who was going back to the bag, has no problem making third base. And of course, Lowry into second base. Once that ball bounced over the head of Brock Holt, the A's quickly have two men in scoring position.
They'll call that a single, and Lowry takes second on the throw. Coco Crisp down to third base. Here's Josh Reddick, who comes to Fenway having put up 8 consecutive hits. He has tied a franchise record, hitting .319. And a breaking ball in for a strike. In their doubleheader on Saturday at Baltimore, he had 7 hits. He went 3 for 3 with a walk on Sunday. But over the course of that time, 8 consecutive hits. Nobody out. Foul back.
Red Sox at this stage of the game playing the infield back. Obviously, you want to prevent against a big inning this early. You'll give up a run on the ground, but you don't want to give up a ball that goes through a drawn in infield and give up 2 runs. Bogart's now with 2 strikes, moving to the second base side. So the Red Sox in the shift.
Buchholz with a very deliberate tempo here with men on. 1-2. Even Reddick has been amazed by this 8 straight hits that he's put up there. He said, look at all the players who played in this uniform, Hall of Famers. To be up there on the top is really a great honor. 4 for 9 with a home run against Clay Buchholz. One-two into the dirt, stopped by Vasquez.
Nice job by Vasquez behind the plate, not trying to catch the ball, just block it, deaden it, keep it in front of him, and keep that man at third base. Once again, the fastball down in the dirt, and really no attempt to try to catch that ball, just block it.
Now the 2-2 from the righty. Reddick really flourished when he went to the A's, didn't he?
Yeah, Josh Reddick, you know, when he was with the Red Sox, you know, you wondered what type of player he would be. And he got out to the West Coast in an Oakland uniform, and obviously he became a very, very good player.
His breakout season 2012 was the year after he was traded to Oakland. He hit 32 homers, drove in 85 runs. He also won a Gold Glove. Crisp at third base. Lowry at second. Nobody out. Slap to the first baseman. Hanley will take it himself as the run comes in to score. And Lowry into third base, and that makes it 1-0 Oakland.
Well, a good job.
RBI for Josh Reddick, Jerry.
Yeah, and a good job by Reddick there. You know, you got the infield back there giving you a run, so as long as you make contact, something good is probably going to happen unless you hit it back to the pitcher. Now, that's a pretty good pitch by Buchholz. That ball was inside, but Reddick still able to make the contact to Hanley, and they get the first run of the game. Now with 1 out and less of a chance for a big inning, the Red Sox bring the infield in with the man at third base.
And it sends up the left fielder Chris Davis, hitting just .214, but he does have 6 home runs. He takes ball 1. He's coming in with a record of 14-18. They're 4.5 games behind Seattle. The Mariners in first place out west. Stephen Vogt, their DH, is on deck, and that's low.
Interesting so far for Buchholz as we look at the standings in the West. The Athletics in third place, 4.5 games behind the Mariners. The Rangers only a half game back. Angels then followed by the Astros, who are 6.5 back. And Buchholz right now, fastballs are going low, changeups are going high for him.
He's fallen behind. Big swing and a miss. That was a home run cut by Davis.
And that was a good pitch by Buchholz. That was the cut fastball. You know, Davis sitting on a fastball in that situation didn't get it. He got the cutter. Thought it was going to be over the middle of the plate, and it cuts to the outside part of the plate.
Davis has been a home run hitter, but not for a high average this season. Here comes the 2-1 from Clay. Oakland right now on a 9-game road trip. Yesterday the Orioles beat them 11-3. Their last 5 games they've allowed 8 or more runs in 4 of them. So their pitching has been subpar. Here's the 3-1. Fouled out of play.
As a hitter, that's not what you want to do. You got yourself in a 3-1 count, and you don't want to foul the ball off to the opposite way. That's a pitch that, you know, you should be at least out in front of on 3-1.
Lowry at third base with 1 down and a run in for Oakland. And Buchholz with a 3-2. Pop foul again, back off into the crowd. And what is becoming a lengthy first inning for Clay's up to 22 pitches.
Yeah, there's that changeup again. Now, I believe that's the 3rd one he's featured so far in this game. And again, that one was a little bit high, higher than he would like it. And that enabled Davis to make contact on it and foul it off. But you see the location up, and I believe he's thrown 3 so far in this game, and they've all been up in the same area. He'd like that pitch down.
Infield in, 3-2 again. And a looping liner into right field coming on Betts. He will make the play, and back to third base, and stopping there is Lowry. So not deep enough to bring in that run, and they're 2 away.
Now, good job by Mookie Betts. You know, with 2 strikes, he came in a little bit closer out in right field. That enables him to get to that line without a problem. You see where he's playing right now and the great jump he gets on the ball. And of course, when the third base coach and runner sees that, him charging the ball like that, there's nowhere to go. He's not deep enough to try to score that runner. Quickly gets it back in anyway, but no chance to score from third base. So big out there for Buchholz. And a nice play by Mookie Betts.
They'll bring up their DH, Stephen Vogt, 258, 3 homers. He's driven in 7. He'll take ball 1. He was named to the All-Star team for the American League last year and hit 18 homers, 71 runs batted in. And a 1-0. That's a strike. Vogt played for the Tampa Bay Rays in 2012, and the word is he does a dead-on impression of Joe Madden.
Well, I bet that's pretty good.
I'd like to see that. The 1-1. Flared foul. You know, last season, a long season for the A's. They lost 94 games. Somebody made a great grab up there.
Yeah, that's nice. 2-handed catch to make sure. Is that an Oriole fan? Is that an Oriole? The Brewers? I believe it is. Yeah.
One, 2. And caught by Shaw at third base to retire the side. They get a run in, however, and the leadoff walk comes back to haunt. 1-0 Oakland. Toyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. Mookie Betts will lead it off in right. Dustin Pedroia at second. Xander Bogaerts at short. David Ortiz the DH. Hanley Ramirez at first. Travis Shaw at third. Brock Holt, the number 7. He is in left field. Jackie Bradley in center. Christian Vasquez, the number 9 man, doing the catching. Up against right-hander Sonny Gray. He is the A's unquestioned ace, but he has not been pitching like one lately.
The A's defense is brought to you by DraftKings, and they are last in the American League with 23 errors in 32 games. Danny Valencia at third base, Marcus Semien the shortstop, Jed Lowry at second, Yonder Alonso at first base, left to right Fritz Davis, Coco Crisp, and Josh Reddick, and Josh Phegley doing the catching for Sonny Gray.
Well, Gray began the season with 4 quality starts, but he's lost his last 2 to Texas and Seattle. He's been getting hit. And the first one in for a strike and Mookie Betts.
Yeah, he's faced the Red Sox a couple of times in his career. He's 0-1, but a very impressive 2.08 ERA against Boston teams.
Mookie hitting .248 with 4 home runs. It's a fly ball left center field, but here's Coco Crisp into the alley to put it away. So one fast out. Dustin Pedroia next.
And one of the problems that Gray has been having, from what we understand, is command, and he's not pleased with it. He's hung some breaking balls, which is always a very good pitch for him. You can see the numbers in his first 4 starts, but look at the last 2 starts. 0-2, those games against Detroit and Seattle.
A lot of walks as well. 16 walks and 35 and a third. That's very high for him. Dustin Pedroia 2 for 6 against him in his career.
So I'm a little surprised to see Danny Valencia so close at third base. Dustin almost never drops a bunt down the third base line.
0-1 rattle foul at the plate. Dustin went deep in the first inning against the Yankees last night. He's been on a bit of a home run tear. No one getting out over Beltran, but barely. 2 first inning home runs in the last 4 games. He held up there. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And Pedroia with 5 home runs the last 17 games. Xander Bogaerts on deck. 1-0. The A's have the lead here in the first inning. Sox hitting for the first time. Fouled away. Still 1-2.
A lot of times with 2 strikes on Pedroia, you'll see the right fielder come in a number of steps out there, but Reddick is playing him fairly deep with 2 strikes. As you look at the American League hit leaders, Dustin's second in the American League. There's Reddick out in right field, pretty deep.
And Gray with a 1-2. Fought off again. No, the A's did not want to see Dustin Pedroia tonight. He sits safely in 14 in a row against them and hitting .400 over that span. Red Sox have won 6 of the last 7 head-to-head against the A's. There's a broken bat. Liner knocked down by Alonso. The flip onto Gray. He recovered in time for the out. Bat shattering right there around home plate.
Well, style points. Alonso won't get many for that play, but it was a good result for him as he did get the out. But the broken bat, I think, threw him off a little bit. His timing. And he just kind of stumbles after it. But he's able to pick it up with the bare hand and give that underhand flip to Sonny Gray, who is doing his job covering first base, and they get Pedroia by a couple of steps.
Now Xander Bogaerts will step up, hitting .309 with 2 homers and 14 driven in. He homered at Yankee Stadium on Sunday night. How good did Stephen Wright look?
Oh,
goodness gracious, a complete game.
It was unbelievable last night. He made it look so easy, and it's not easy. He
even made it a fairly easy night on Ryan Hannigan.
He did. He threw a lot of high knuckleballs last night that dropped into the strike zone.
1-0 ripped and a fair ball inside the line. That'll be extra bases all the way up against the monster. And easily into second base. Another double for Xander Bogaerts. He now has 12 of them.
You know, Dave, you and I were talking earlier in the season about Bogaerts and, you know, how he's going to like improve his power numbers, and I totally expect that to happen because he's going to be able to handle the inside pitch better. There's a good example right there. Now, it's not a home run, but that pitch is inside. He drives it right down that third base line and picks up the 2-out double to get in a scoring position. Buckos loves it. Last night, the home run that he hit was on a pitch that was inside, and he cleaned it out for the home run, pulling it.
On pace for, that's always dangerous, but 68 extra base hits. And here comes David Ortiz, who ripped a pair of home runs at Yankee Stadium last night to give him 6 in his last 9 games.
Well, nothing cheap about either one of these, either from David Ortiz. Back in the back section of the bleachers, and he gets a ball down right about knee-high inside, and he cleans that one out.
So 9 home runs already for Big Papi. Line shot, but right there to snatch it, Semien. Exactly where he was supposed to be. And look at the grin. David had one stolen there. And I don't know. I don't have that outfit at home, but I think I should.
Juan Kenobi.
And some came appropriately dressed. You're on Star Wars night. Danny Valencia to lead things off here in the second inning. 1-0. The A's have the lead. Alonso on deck, and that's in there for a strike. And Jerry, your thoughts?
My thoughts? Don't ask. I'm sad to say I really don't know anything about Star Wars. I really don't.
I'm right behind you. I have like as little knowledge as you have. I have a little more. Up the middle. Dive. Pedroia knocks it down. Trying to scurry to get it, but he will not be able to in time. And Valencia has a base hit. A near spectacular play.
Now that ball was hooking back to Dustin too, and it had kind of a weird spin on it. Pedroia goes into the dive and almost makes a great play. You can see where he's located and where he has to go to try to make this play, and it's almost by him as he knocks it down. It is by him. He's on the outfield part of the grass, and he just couldn't get a handle on it.
Well, now they're going to come out and take a look at Valencia. See what is up with him. The man who struck that liner and reached with a base hit. Another former member of the Red Sox. Bob Melvin out with the A's trainer. He's going to run a bit. We'll see how he get out of the batter's box here. Grimacing as he got past the bag, and looked like really out of the box. He wasn't feeling great.
Yeah, it looked like maybe a cramp for Valencia as he made contact there and started down that first base line, but he took a sprint down the right field line and says he's okay to go, so he'll remain in the ball game.
That'll bring up their first baseman, Yonder Alonso, hitting just .204 with 1 home run. Former San Diego Padre, spent 4 seasons there. Second hit off of Clay Buchholz here in the early going. And a fly ball, fairly well hit. Jackie Bradley is going to look behind him and is going to strike the 10. Valencia heading into third base. Into second now, diving in safely is Alonso with a double. He went in hard on Dustin Pedroia. They made contact. Second and third here for the Oakland A's.
Yeah, one of the tough things for a second baseman, it was the throws coming in from the outfield like that, and the runner's behind you. You have no idea where he is. Now this ball's going to go off the bottom of the wall, but Jackie couldn't catch up to that. That ball was hit too far. And the throw comes in to second base. Now watch Pedroia catch it, spin, and then try to pick up where the runner is. I don't know if he turned an ankle. Well, it looks like he got maybe cleated. Yeah, he gets spiked.
Yep, that one caught him.
You see the right leg right there of Alonso catching Pedroia. It looks like on the Achilles area, but apparently okay, and we're ready to play a little baseball.
Alonso actually looked like he apologized immediately. Let him know that was not on purpose. Second and third. Here's Josh Fegley, who's doing the catching. And a ground ball right to Dustin Pedroia. He took a look at home, but he'll go on to first base to get the out. And another run is in. Valencia scores. Alonso down to third. That'll make it 2-0 Oakland.
That's a very good out right there by Fegley. Productive out because he gets the run home from third base and he moves a runner from second to third with less than 2 outs. Now Pedroia will take a look to third, but there's no play there, so grab the sure out at first base. Now the Red Sox again with 1 out will pull the infield in. Especially on the right side, we can see Bogart's not quite all the way in on the left side, but should be in a position where they can hold that runner at the third base.
Semien, the batter, hitting .210, but he has hit 8 home runs, and the breaking ball misses. In fact, he leads all American League shortstops in home runs, hitting 6 of those in the month of April. One out, another run home. Popped up, foul territory. Hanley heading for the Red Sox dugout. That'll be over the roof, on top of the roof, and off into the stands.
I'll say one thing, these A's are aggressive. They're 13th in the league in walks, so they don't walk very much and they don't strike out very much. They're 4th toughest to strike out, so they're up there swinging the bat.
One ball and 1 strike on Semien, with Alonso the runner at third. Two balls and 1 strike. Semien had an awful time of it last year defensively. He committed a whopping 35 errors. He's only made 2 so far this season. And the 2-1 right through it.
There's a changeup again by Buchholz. It was high again, but this time it was so off speed that it fooled Semien. And you see the changeup grip again. The location is high. That's not where he wants that pitch, but that time he got it by him because it was off speed and it fooled him.
Line shot caught by Shaw, and back into third base safely is Alonso. That was hit sharply.
Yeah, that was a changeup also by Buchholz. Good solid contact, but right at Travis Shaw at third base. You see the location of this changeup. He doubles up on it, and that one still remains a little bit high, but it had Semien a little bit off balance. Good solid contact, but right at the third baseman Travis Shaw just has to reach across his shoulder to make the catch.
Sends up Coco Crisp again. He walked and scored in the first inning. He had 3 hits in Saturday's game 1 of their doubleheader against the Orioles. Before that, he had been 4 for 25. Nothing in 1. Well, certainly the hope with Clay is he's going to follow the same script tonight that he did in Chicago. He fell behind 2-0 there on an early home run, then settled in and was pretty much unhittable, allowing 3 hits in 7 innings. Alonso the runner at third base, 2 down, and the 0-1 pitch. Stopped by Vasquez.
Good job again by Vasquez behind the plate, calling for the changeup. He expects it to be down in the strike zone, if not out of the strike zone, and that's exactly what he gets. Again, covering up the 5 hole and just taking it off the chest protector to deaden it, leave that man at third base.
Buchholz with a 1-1 offering. 2-1. Coco Crisp has been really good on the road. He's hitting .324, but hitting just .150 back in Oakland. That's in there for a strike on a good curveball over the inside part of the plate.
Buchholz throwing about his maybe second or third curveball so far in this game. That time he does pick up the inside corner. The way Vasquez was set up, it's almost like he wanted that ball away. Instead it goes inside corner, but still called a strike.
And the 2-2. Liner into right field for a base hit. That'll bring in another run. Alonso scores, and it's 3-0 Oakland. A team over its last 7 games that is averaging about 3.5 runs a game.
Doubled up that time on the curveball, and that time the curveball stays middle of the plate. As you can see right there, and Crisp with the topspin line drive to right field, the drive in the run.
So the A's off to a quick start against Buchholz tonight. Here's Jed Lowry. He singled his first time up. And fouls it away very aggressively.
Now they are being very, very aggressive here against Buchholz.
Jed without a home run, but we know he has power. 2013 he hit 15 home runs for the A's. Drove in 75.
I would think, Dave, with 2 outs, Crisp would probably try to take second base here, see if he can pick one up and get in scoring position for Lowry. If he's thrown out, Lowry hits in front of Reddick to lead off next inning.
Two down and 2 runs in this inning. He's holding, and that's strike. Clay in his career 3-2 against Oakland, but with a 6.81 earned run average. So they have been a problem for him. Here comes the 0-2 to Lowry. And just a little bit high, said David Rackley.
Trying to get it to chase a high fastball that time up on the count, no balls and 2 strikes, but Lowry wouldn't chase on a ball that was just up and out of the strike zone.
Coco's still there at first base, being held by Hanley Ramirez. And a 1-2. Off the outside. Jed Lowry has gotten married since he left the Red Sox. Wife Melissa works for the U.S. State Department and was recently attached to a consulate in Latin America. So he's been doing some traveling. They met at Stanford. The 2-2 runner holding. Waved at and missed. Down he goes, strike 3. That's his first K. They do get 2. When we come back, it'll be Hanley Ramirez, Travis Shaw, and Brock Holt for the Red Sox. Mobile. Aroldis Chapman now available to pitch for the New York Yankees after serving his suspension. Bartolo Colon is now the oldest player in Major League history to hit his first career home run. And Bryce Harper was the first player in history to reach base 7 times without recording an official at bat. 6 walks, and he was also hit by a pitch against the Cubs.
Did you happen to see Colon trot around the bases?
I did.
It was special.
It was epic. 31 seconds it took him.
And he was, I mean, he was going. That's as good as he can go.
That was top speed. Chris Coughlin taking over at third base. We showed you Valencia earlier grimacing when he went to first base on a single. So he's now out of the game. Here's Hanley. Hanley Ramirez hitting .284, 3 homers, 17 runs batted in. I'm just giggling because I'm envisioning Bartolo, who of course pitched briefly for the Red Sox. And I remember he got hurt on a swing.
Yes, that's exactly right.
And it was an epic swing. Let's go to Gary.
And how about this, guys? They struck while the iron was hot. Topps Cards, the card manufacturer, got so many requests that they needed the home run swing. They produced 8,800 cards and were sold out in 24 hours.
Wow.
That thing's going to go for quadruple the price on the black market or eBay, whatever.
Oh, yeah. But 31 seconds to go around the bases. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do in 31 seconds.
Well, you know, it's not like he was pimping around the bases either. I mean, that's the best he's got. That's all he's got.
I think that was a dead sprint.
Yeah.
For Bartolo.
That's how he runs his sprints between starts.
Some story, though. 42 years old, his first major league home run. Hanley checks, and that is outside. He snapped an 11-game hitting streak last night in New York by going 0 for 3. He was also hit by a pitch. He's been swinging a pretty good bat, though, those last 9 games. Travis Shaw on deck. Brock Holt to follow. Red Sox trailing 3-0 very early here to Sonny Gray. Fly ball right field. Reddick Heading toward the fence, but he's there to make the catch. He knows that part of the outfield very well. One man gone. Student Nines presented by Selfio has returned for the season. That means high school and college students can pick up tickets for just $9. For tickets and more information, visit redsox.com/students.
They made a good point, Dave. You know, he does know that part of the ballpark, and that's certainly an advantage for a right fielder coming into Fenway Park when you've had some experience here. He knew exactly how much room he had to go before he got to that wall to make it to catch on a ball that was slicing away from him.
Travis Shaw 295 as he gets in. If you gave me 31 seconds and all the proper stuff to do it, I could wash your car in 31 seconds.
Can you be at the house at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning? It needs it.
Yeah. The 1-0. It's always true, though. You know, you could see something you've never seen before when you come to the ballpark. I mean, any ballpark, Fenway, anywhere. We were in Chicago last week, and on one night there were 4 first-place teams in one city, and that had never happened. That one ripped down the line, and that's going to touch down right at the base of the warning track and up and into the fence. Travis Shaw has himself a double. Second double for the Red Sox against Gray here.
Now maybe that'll help Travis Shaw break out. He's been in a mini slump, 4 for his last 22, and that's good hitting right there. That fastball's away from him, does not try to pull it, takes it right down. Look at the slice on it, going away from the left fielder Davis. So Shaw stands at second base with 1 out.
Yeah, he had gone 4 for 22 without an RBI on the road trip. So we'll see if getting home helps him out. Here comes Brock Holt, 282 with a pair of home runs. He's hit in 7 straight. Up the middle. Semien handles that from behind the bag, gets him. Over to third, Travis Shaw, now with 2 away.
You know, a lot of times you'll tell base runners if the ball's hit to that left side and you're at second base, you got to hold up, but you also got to know where the shortstop's playing. And in that case, he knew the shortstop was behind him. The ball was hit to his left, and he knew he could make third base, so no problem with that. Now watch the location of the ball. Shaw knows it's going to be behind him. He knows the shortstop has to go up the middle so he can take third base and not worried about getting thrown out.
Now the red hot Jackie Bradley, who's hit safely in 14 in a row, the longest active streak in the majors. And it's off the mitt of the catcher, Fegley. Here comes Shaw, and he will slide in with the run. And the Red Sox are on the board, 3-1 Oakland.
Well, you know, Dave, we talked about a small thing. And the small thing was Shaw taking third base, and it pays off. You know, any chance you get to do that, even if there's 2 outs, you do it because you can score on this, a wild pitch, and that gets the Red Sox on the board. It's a fastball that's supposed to be inside. It deflects off the glove of Fegley, back to the backstop, and Shaw, who advanced from second base on this ground ball, will score on the wild pitch, so it becomes a big play.
The 1-0 to Jackie in tight. So Travis Shaw getting in after Brock Holt got him over from second base. 3-1 Oakland, and that'll pick up the corner. Mike McCune, the sports director of WCAX in Burlington, Vermont, will be joining us in just a couple of moments. They used to be an affiliate of the Montreal Expos, and of course there's a lot of expansion talk in baseball today. Cut on and missed. The Red Sox at the end of spring training played in Montreal, a couple of games there that were very well attended, and there's much talk about would they be an expansion franchise.
I think they should be.
You do?
I really do, with a new stadium though.
Boy, I'm with you on that. The 2-2 fouled away, and Jackie down in some pain on his left knee.
Yeah, that hurts. I mean, that's you know, Jackie's got a slight uppercut swing, so a lot of times on a breaking ball you'll hit on top of the baseball, and the result will be that. And that's why he wears that protective guard on his right leg. He gets a lot of those.
Jackie's average with the hitting streak is up to 288. Base is empty, but a run in for the Red Sox. Hit wickedly, but foul off into the stands.
That's pretty good. You know, Sonny Gray comes back with almost the exact same pitch, but that time Jackie not off the foot, but fouls it off down the first baseline. Breaking ball, it's going to be down in the zone. You see the 5th and 6th pitch, almost the identical spot.
Two again, and dribbled back toward Gray. He'll handle this one, and that retires the side. But the Red Sox score their first run of the night. And after 2 innings at Fenway, it's 3-1 Oakland. By Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. Delighted to be joined by Mike McCune, the sports director of WCAX in Burlington, Vermont, a great affiliate for the Boston Red Sox, formerly of the Montreal Expos.
Yeah, up there, our Vermont Lake Monsters started out as an affiliate of the Montreal Expos, as a minor league team back in the mid-90s. Now currently actually affiliated with the Oakland A's. But yeah, still a lot of excitement, a lot of long-time Montreal fans. The closer you get to the Vermont border, more Montreal fans.
Got to ask you about that then, Mike, because a lot of people around baseball, and I think the commissioner has even mentioned Montreal, and they used to have for a long time a very successful major league team. Interest kind of died out, but a lot of people want them back. What are your thoughts?
It certainly seems like that's the direction there's going. There's a lot of build-up and a lot of anticipation, a lot of excitement up there. Warren Cromartie has led a group that is really trying to build up grassroots. The last 3 seasons, there have been preseason games. Obviously, the Red Sox this year were up there for those 2, and the crowds up there were fantastic for those games. And I think that it is building, the energy is building, and I overheard you say at the end, I think it's going to happen. I think it's eventually going to happen.
And what do you think about a new ballpark? I mean, that's been a big issue up there.
That has to be the decision point. It's not going to come. They're not going to play in Olympic Stadium. They're not going to do 162. That Olympic Stadium was old when the Expos left. So, and it hasn't gotten any better since. So they're going to have to build a new place. But if they can build a new stadium, and I think they will eventually, I think baseball will come back.
Josh Reddick leading off the inning here against Clay Buchholz. 3-1. The A's have the lead, and he fouls that one out of play. And wouldn't it make sense if that happens that the Montreal franchise, let's say an expansion team or an existing team moves up to Montreal, that they wind up playing the Red Sox on a regular basis?
They have to. If they do an expansion, they have to figure out some way to put that team in the American League East, because you have an automatic rivalry with Boston. You also have an automatic rivalry with Toronto. So with both those teams. So if it's Tampa that gets moved up, if they can't get a stadium deal done down there and Tampa moves up to Montreal, then it's perfect. But if it's an expansion team, and it would probably be Tampa that would have to get moved. I think that if they bring baseball back to Montreal, it has to be in the American League East.
The 0-2 to Reddick. He lifts that pop into center. Racing out is Travis Shaw to make that play. Now that's unusual for him to be making a play like that in that direction.
Yeah, of course they go into the shift and they put Shaw on the right side of the infield, and all of a sudden he becomes the guy that has to make a very tough play. I mean, he's not used to making plays like this down at third base, where he's got to go back over that shoulder to make the catch. So a very nice play by Travis Shaw in the shift.
Chris Davis on the way up next. And Mike, you happen to be a sports director in one of the most beautiful parts of the country. I don't have to tell you that, but what are folks in Burlington thinking about this edition of the Red Sox?
They're very excited. I mean, obviously the last couple of seasons has been, the struggles that you don't want to see, and I think they're just excited about the potential for a summer where the Sox are back in it and back in the hunt, and there's so many young players on this team to be excited about. And Vermont fans get a chance to see them as they're working their way through the system because the Lowell Spinners are in the same division of.
High fly ball here by Davis. He cranks that one high toward the monster. Holt turning around, and that ball's gone. Home run by Chris Davis. That's his 7th of the season. And Buckholz's expression tells you all you need to know there. That'll make it 4-1 Oakland. Now, Jerry, you talked about it early in the contest, how aggressive they are. They swing for the fences.
Yeah, they really do. And they don't walk very much. They're up there swinging the bat. There's a breaking ball. It just didn't do very much for Clay. It just kind of hung out over the plate right there and right on the sweet spot for Davis. It's a very high home run. Some question whether it was going to get out of here, but it does get into that first row. And Buckholz knew it when he let that ball go out of his hand that it was not a good pitch.
That's the one cool thing when you're here. I mean, when you're listening to it or watching at home, you can kind of hear it, but when you're here, when a ball leaves the ballpark, you can tell. I mean, it has that unique sound that when you get a chance to be down here at the ballpark to hear, it's very cool.
Let me ask you, you're talking about the fan interest in the Red Sox. And, my belief is that it's going to take a little bit of while to get back full strength because of a couple of last place finishes. And, I think, once they realize that this is going to be a good ball club, it seems like they're coming back.
I agree with that. I think it's going to take some time, but I mean, the passion for the Red Sox runs deep throughout this region. It runs deep throughout Vermont, and all they need is a reason to believe in it again. And right now the team's giving them a reason to believe and invest. And I don't think it's going to take that long to kind of get it back. As long as they just keep doing what they've been doing so far.
Mike, thanks for the visit.
Absolutely.
Terrific. Mike McCune.
Thanks, Mike. Good to see you.
Thanks for being with us and bring us a few runs.
We'll do that. We've got to get it going.
Terrific. Mike McCune joining us here, coming from Burlington, Vermont. Man, is it gorgeous there. Any time of the year. Chris Coghlan here batting for the first time. He came on for Valencia when he was injured. He's leading it 4-1. Valencia injured while beating out a single on the infield, and that one fouled back. They're calling it hamstring tightness, the reason that Valencia had to depart. Buckholz so far has surrendered 5 hits. Here's the 0-2. Crack foul.
That was by design, going upstairs with the fastball, and that's exactly where they wanted to get it, but fouled off.
Red Sox won for the first time in a Clay Buchholz start in Chicago on the road trip. 0-2. And just inside. Clay had started off the mound.
Yeah, you got to have that pitch. I mean, that's that two-seam fastball. It comes back on the corner. This ball did come back on the corner. I don't know if it was called for being too high or inside, but that's a good pitch.
The 1-2 to Coghlan. Right to the feet of Hanley Ramirez. He'll do it himself, and that will retire the side. Buchholz made a pitch he'd love to have back. A home run by Davis to make it 4-1. Furniture. If the Sox and Yankees meet in the League Championship Series for the pennant, you could win free furniture and mattresses. It's pennant fever, and it's going on now. Go Sox. Red Sox in need of some offense here. Need the force. Trailing 4-1 as we go to the last half of the third inning. Last half of inning number 3, and Christian Vasquez will lead things off. Then it'll be Mookie Betts and Dustin Pedroia against Sonny Gray, the ace for Oakland. Gray has listed David Price as his favorite professional athlete. He went to Vanderbilt as well and pitched Vanderbilt to their first ever College World Series. So a huge David Price fan. David Price trying to figure out what is up with David Price right now.
Well, David Price threw a sign session today in the bullpen, you know, his normal between start session, and be curious to see what they worked on in that session today.
There's been some talk about, you know, the mechanics of things and, you know, just how high he is lifting that lead leg and did when he was effective a year ago. This is some of his work earlier today with Carl Willis watching.
I think if you look at video from David Price when he was with last year Toronto and Detroit, I think you'll see that his leg kick is definitely higher. It was up about even with his waist. In the last start that he had against the Yankees, his leg kick was not very high at all. And I wonder if that's one of the things that they may have been working on in the bullpen today. That's speculation, but looking at the video, it's pretty obvious that there is a difference in there was a difference, I should say, in the leg kick from a year ago to this year. And obviously the higher the leg kick, the more power he can generate coming toward home plate. So we'll see if that's something he worked on in his next start.
And Dustin Pedroia was watching him very intently. He picked up a couple of things and let him know. Vasquez takes down and away. So a good start for the Sox here in the third inning. A leadoff walk in front of Mookie Betts.
Now, one thing you don't want to have happen is let Sonny Gray get on a run here. The Red Sox got to do some damage here very early against him, because he's the type of guy, and when he's on, he's one of the best pitchers in the American League. There's no question about that. Best right-handers, and you've got to be able to, you know, get on him early and score some runs, because once he gets into a groove, he's very, very difficult.
14-7 last year with a .273 earned run average. But a leadoff walk brings up Mookie. 0 for 1 with a fly to center. Red Sox trail 4-1. Hard hit. Bobbled at third base by Coughlin. He'll go to first base and get the out. But that was a double play ball.
Yeah, and that's why Coughlin's upset with himself, because the ball was hit hard. Even with the speed of Mookie Betts, they're probably going to get 2. But you can see him go down to one knee, but the ball hits the heel of the glove, and once it does that, no deuce. But he was able to pick the ball up cleanly. It didn't get far away from him on one bounce and still get Betts at first base. So they did get an out on it.
So down to second base, Vasquez. And that brings up the sharp-eyed Dustin Pedroia. And he was the man who pointed out to the Red Sox and David Price that he thought his leg kick was substantially lower this year than he had seen in the past.
Yep.
One man out, a runner in scoring position here for the Sox. Over but low. Let's go to Gary.
Guys, I know Dustin Pedroia is saying that, you know, it was sort of by coincidence that he found David Price's mechanical issue, but let's not get it twisted that Dustin Pedroia has a hawk eye. Remember, it was almost this time last year Mike Napoli was scuffling on the West Coast, and on that plane ride back, he sat with Napoli, looked at film. It was that week they got back to Boston. Napoli ended up going 9 for 21, fixed the kink in his swing, and was named AL Player of the Week. So hopefully that can happen with Price.
Well, that certainly is the hope.
Yeah, you know, Dave, we could clearly see the difference in just that one pitch we saw him throw in our little clip just a second ago in the bullpen.
Yep.
So I'm sure that's something he was concentrating on today. His leg was a little bit higher than it was, certainly actually quite a bit higher than it was in that game in New York.
In for a strike.
Now watch the front leg come up about even with his hip. Now there was no way in New York it was that high. It was just was not. It was barely off the ground.
Here comes the 3-1 from Gray. Hot shot. Semien gathers that and will throw on to get him. So 2 down. Now back to New York the other day when he was lit up by the Yankees, and take a look at that kick.
Now see the front leg. I mean, there's hardly no kick at all, as you could very clearly see. That's a great shot right there. And here's today. Now watch the knee come up and be about even with the hip. Now what does that do? That probably generates more power for him going toward home plate. The other option that he had in New York is basically throwing all with his upper body instead of using his legs. So we'll see if that's a difference he brings into the game when he pitches later on this week. But I believe it is.
Wouldn't it be something if, based on that observation from Dustin Pedroia, he got back to throwing 94, 95 miles an hour? Xander Bogaerts in the box. In there for a strike. DraftKings, the official one-day fantasy baseball partner of the Boston Red Sox. Experience the thrill of playing on DraftKings now. Play free daily using the promo code NESSON at DraftKings.com. Vasquez at second with 2 down. 4-1 Oakland.
You know, it's interesting, Dave, because players of all sorts, pitchers, catchers, hitters, fielders, they all go, you know, something changes and you don't know what it is. You're going through it and you have no idea, and sometimes it takes somebody else to see it and relay that to you, and then all of a sudden, boom, it clicks in. And I mean, that video was pretty obvious of a difference here.
I agree. Tip of the cap to Dustin Pedroia. Line drive toward right, but foul.
Now check out this split screen that we have built with David Price, and you'll see that today, look at New York. I mean, that foot is barely coming off the ground. You can see the glove is higher today. Notice where the glove is. The glove is up around his neck, where the glove in New York was down around his belt. That's a good shot, guys.
You got to listen to Dustin Pedroia. He came up to me in the flight and he said, "Can you work on your ball 4 a little more? You know, just a little more emphasis."
I tell you something, Dustin doesn't miss anything.
He's good. 1-2. Little blooper popped up. That is toward the Red Sox dugout and on top of that roof. But how does that happen with a very successful professional athlete, Jerry? A guy who has been doing this over and over and over again since he was a kid.
Exactly. You know, you don't know. I mean, it happens to hitters all the time, and you just get into these traps, and you don't know what's going wrong, and it may be the slightest thing, the positioning of your hands, your feet, and sometimes it just takes somebody else or some video to show you, you know, that something's different. And all we hear from David Price is, "I feel great. I feel great." So there's, you know, physically there's nothing wrong with him. So apparently it's something mechanical, and maybe we just showed you what it was.
Perhaps. It's also amazing to me it comes from a position player, if this is true, that was the problem, and not another pitcher.
Yeah. I mean, you know, hey, I've had pitchers when I was hitting tell me that I was something, you know, different than I was doing.
You did.
Well, they sit there and watch the whole game. They're very observant, you know, and they watch everything, and it happens all the time. I love that second shot because it really showed the glove being higher too.
Oh yeah. 1-2 breaking ball swung on a miss. Down goes Xander, so the Red Sox do not get that run in. And at the end of 3, it is 4-1 Oakland. Designed by Joseph Aboud, custom made in the United States of fine Italian fabrics and available at Men's Warehouse.
I apologize, Dave. Joseph did not text me on what his wardrobe is tonight, which I'm sure makes people happy out there, but I won't have to read it. But he's looking clean anyway.
He always does. Yonder Alonso will lead things off. He's doubled and scored. Clay Buchholz back out there for a 4th inning, trailing 4-1. And he's looking for a clean inning. Alonso started at the University of Miami, but before that at Coral Gables High in Miami, Mike Lowell's alma mater. He produced some pretty good talent. Two and 0. Mentioned the A's are 14 and 18, but they've done all right on the road. They're 9 and 7 on the road. Now one hit toward the alley, a slicing line drive. Jackie will not get it. Picks it up on a bounce, heading in for second. Here comes the throw, and they will not get him. He's got himself a double for the second time. He's 2 for 2.
Alonso doing a good job going with the pitch that time to the opposite field. You'll see the location of the two-seamer. It's running away from him and actually maybe a little bit off the outside part of the plate, but he doesn't try to pull it. He just takes it to the opposite field, and you can see it slice away from Bradley. I thought it was going to be close at second base, but the throw's going to be a little bit off target right there, and Pedroia can't get back in time.
That'll bring up the catcher, Josh Vegley, who drove in a run with an RBI ground out in the second inning. 4-1 Oakland, looking for more.
I see where the infield is set up for the Red Sox. Hanley is in about even with the bag, and Pedroia is going to be in a couple of steps when the pitch is made. And the reason for that is if the ball's hit hard to that side, they'll check that runner at second base and see if they got a chance at him at third. But you got to be 100% sure you can throw him out.
Sox are going to get somebody heated up in the bullpen right now. 0-1 pitch, tried to check, and he did. Heath Hembree getting going. 4 runs, 6 hits allowed by Buchholz. So obviously he has not been able to follow up his outstanding effort in Chicago with the same kind of stuff tonight. Well, he walked the leadoff man in the ball game, first man he faced, in Coco Crisp. A shattered bat right to the glove of Travis Shaw. 1 man out.
Now that was a good pitch by Buchholz. Obviously a two-seamer that ran in back on the hands and broke the bat of Vegley. And with this out, no advancement of the runner at second base. But look how much that ball moves inside and just shatters the bat. Both barrel of the bat and baseball heading out toward Travis Shaw, and he concentrated on the right one.
Sends up Semien, who lined to third his first time up. When that wind is really howling out to right field.
I used to call this the Yaz wind because he loved it when he'd come out, and the first thing he'd look at is which way that wind was blowing, and if it was blowing out to the bullpen, you know he was going pull mode.
Many times. Ground ball and a runner trying to move up. Here's the throw and the tag, and he is out at third base. Alonso with a base running mistake.
Yep. You know, we just talked about it last inning, and Travis Shaw did it right. Alonso did not. You got to see where this ball is, where contact is made. Now watch the base runner and watch where the ball is. The ball is going to be to the right of him, and he should know by positioning. He's got to check the shortstop, see where he's playing. He knows he made a mistake. You know where the shortstop's playing. He's playing to his right. If the ball's to his right, he's not going to make third base. Just the opposite when Shaw was there. The ball was hit to his left. He made third base.
Red Sox say thank you very much. So Semien becomes the runner at first base with 2 down. Here's Coco Crisp, who's not made an out. He has walked and singled. He has scored a run and driven in another against his old team. Coco was limited to just 44 games last year because of 2 DL stints. Hit a career low 175. Trying to bounce back at 36 years old. The A's ahead 4-1 here in the 4th inning. MLB.TV Premium is everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game of all 30 teams in true high def on over 400 supported devices. Visit MLB.TV for details. And the 1-0. And 69 pitches with 2 down in the 4th inning. The 2-0 pitch. Fans with Benjamin Moore, you can paint like no other. Go to benjaminmoore.com to find your nearest retailer. Coco was a darn good outfielder when he played for the Red Sox.
Yeah, he sure was. You know, a lot of speed, got very good jumps on the baseball. Good player. Did a nice job with the Red Sox.
2013, he hit 22 home runs. Really jumped up with power. On that topic, David Ortiz will lead off in the bottom of the 4th inning. Sitting at 512 career home runs. Red Sox need some thunder against Sonny Gray tonight. Two again, spoiled by Coco Crisp.
Once again, Buchholz trying that cut fastball, and Crisp just able to make some contact. Keep that count at 2-2. There's the cutter right here by Buchholz, and again, not quite getting that in the spot he wants. He wanted that on the outside part of the plate, try to backdoor the outside corner with it.
Jed Lowry on deck. Part of Red Sox West with this A's team. Rich Hill is also a member of the Oakland A's, and boys,
good for him.
He really is.
Yeah.
And pitching great.
Yeah.
One of the really nice guys in baseball too. Will not pitch in this series. A 2-2. Liner into left, coming in Brock Holt. He'll snatch that to retire the side. We are in the middle of the 4th inning. Big Papi coming up. 4-1 the A's. Bottom of the 4th inning. Red Sox trailing 4-1 to Sonny Gray and the A's. David Ortiz is second at bat. High fly down into the left field corner, headed toward the wall. It's onto the warning track. A fair ball. It caroms up in the corner, and Big Papi trots into second base with a stand-up double.
Well, that's the first hit that David Ortiz has ever had off Sonny Gray. He almost got one in his first at bat, a line drive to the shortstop. This time he goes opposite field. That ball away from him. You can see the outside part of the plate, and you don't see David drop too many in that spot of the field, but he does this time for the leadoff double. Of course, they play him way over toward the scoreboard anyway, so any contact that drops in fair in that area is going to be 2-base hit.
597 doubles, nearly as many as Barry Bonds. David had 21 extra base hits in his first 31 games. It was tied for the most he'd ever had in the first 31 games of his season. And another one tonight brings up Hanley Ramirez. He's 0 for 1 with a fly to right. Hanley has hit the A's well in his career. .319. The Red Sox trying to chip away against the right-handed ace of the Oakland A's, who is 26 years old. Gray was a star quarterback in high school growing up not far from Nashville, Tennessee. In his freshman year, his father Jesse was killed in a tragic car accident the night before one of his football games. He had been Sonny's coach throughout all of his youth. Naturally, nobody expected him to play in the game the next day, but he did. He said, my dad would want me to play. He went out and he played. They won the game, fouled out of play, went on to win the state championship. And he was offered the chance to play both baseball and football at Vanderbilt University. He was that good, but he decided to stick with baseball.
He made the right decision.
I would say so. He still writes the word dad on the underside of the bill of his cap to pay homage to his father. 2-1. Through the hole for a base hit. Here comes Big Papi into third and stopping there. Reddick has a good throwing arm. And they're on the corners.
Good job by Hanley Ramirez. Again, you know, we've seen this more and more this year where he's taken base hits to the opposite field. That ball inside, but the hands inside the baseball and moving that ball the other way. He's got a big hole between first and second base. Of course, a good charge put on by Reddick out there, and no chance for Ortiz to score from second base. But the Red Sox have something going. First and third, nobody out.
So Hanley is 1 for 2. Travis Shaw trying to keep that line moving now. He doubled his first time up and came in to score the Red Sox run on a wild pitch. And low for ball 1. Gray with a 1-0 pitch. Towards center field, coming on Coco Crisp. He dives in, can't get it. It goes behind him. Ortiz is in to score. Down to third, Ramirez into second, sliding. Shaw safe. And the Sox on the board again. Now 4-2 and 2 men in scoring territory.
You know, that was almost a great play by Coco Crisp, because when that ball left the bat, I said that's a base hit. Automatic base hit, because you could tell where Chris was playing, it was going to be very difficult for him to get to this ball. Look how deep he is. But he almost does get to it. And Hanley taking a little bit of a gamble there, as he was reading the same thing, that Chris was not going to be able to make the play. And he just scores. Ortiz hanging out, making sure the ball's not caught. He comes in to score, but very good base running by Hanley Ramirez.
So the RBI to Travis is 18th. Kind of knew he'd get going once he got back home.
Now watch Hanley Ramirez on this as he sees the ball drop in and he continues to third base. But, you know, had Coco caught that ball, Hanley probably would have been doubled up at first base. But he read the ball was going to drop in and continues to third.
And now Brock Holt to his 0 for 1. Nobody out. Runners at second and third. And he'll take a strike.
Now here's a case, Dave, where Brock could be thinking at least till 2 strikes to try to pull the ball. You got the situation where the infield's back with the exception of the first baseman. You hit a ground ball at second, you get a run, you get a man at third base. If you get the bonus, you get the base hit.
And the 0-1 from Gray. Fouled off the catcher. That got a piece of Fegley.
Okay, now all bets are off now. Now you get down 0-2. You just got to try to make some contact any way you possibly can. But Holt was clearly trying to pull that last pitch that was down and away from him.
Holt, the best man the Red Sox have with runners in scoring position. And he has Ramirez at third base, Travis Shaw second. Three consecutive hits here in the 4th inning for Boston. Bounced up there.
Nice block by Fegley. Again, you know, curveball, you expect it to bounce. You go down with it. Does a very nice job here saving a run. Any breaking ball you see like that's going to bounce back toward the catcher. Left to right on the screen from a right-handed pitcher.
The 1-2 to Brock. Swung on and missed. Down he goes. And Gray gets a big out. That is out number 1.
Yeah, it looked like a cut fastball from Sonny Gray that time, working down and in. And that's a tough spot for a lefty, especially when it's off the plate. Ball just disappeared on Holt.
Jackie Bradley now. Jackie 0 for 1. Riding the longest hitting streak of his career and the longest current active streak in the majors at 14 straight. Shot up the middle for a base hit. Ramirez is in. Here comes Shaw. The throw is going to be offline, and this game is tied. Boy, that did not take long, did it? Jackie Bradley could not be any hotter. 15 in a row.
Boy, he jumped all over that breaking ball that time and a rocket up the middle. And you know they're going to take a chance on Coco's arm in center field. As hot as that ball was hit, you would think maybe only 1 run would score, but Butterfield's going to wave him on because they know Coco doesn't throw all that well anymore. Shaw's able to come around and score. All of a sudden you get a tie ball game. All started by that guy right there, David Ortiz, with the double.
So that brings up Christian Vasquez, who takes ball 1.
Let's see if they try a little hit and run here. Keep the pressure on. 1 ball, no strikes. You got a guy that can move the ball the other way. Let's see if they try it.
Christian has been swinging a good bat. He had an 8-game hitting streak broken on Saturday night. Only 1 out. 3 runs in to tie it at 4. Man in motion. Bradley into second base. Semien has the 1 play on to first, and they're going to say at second base that Jackie Bradley is safe there. So the Red Sox have a man in scoring position. And Remdog, you nailed that one.
Yeah, you know, it's a great time for it because you just came back to tie the ball game up. You put a play on with a guy that can handle the bat. Now, because Bradley's off, they can't get him in second base. The Red Sox get a man in scoring position with 2 outs. I think it's a great play. I really do.
Semien had only the 1 play.
Now, he wanted to flip the ball to second baseman, but they had no chance at Jackie Bradley Jr.
No,
He was off with the pitch.
So 2 down, and here's Mookie Betts trying to put the Red Sox in the lead here against one of the better pitchers in the American League, although he has been scuffling. The Sox have 4 hits in the inning.
I just love that kind of baseball. You know, when you tie the score, you got the other team on their heels. Put some pressure on them.
You literally came out of your seat when you saw him going there.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I like it, Dave.
1-0 on Mookie.
Believe me, I know what it's like to be back on my heels, so I know.
You know that sensation. Well, 2 down, and Jackie Bradley just scalding the ball every which way now at second base. All tied 4-4. And is in there for a strike. Mookie trying to get hot again. Dustin Pedroia already is, as he waits on deck. David Ortiz starting this rally with a double down the left field line, and that'll be inside. Hanley Ramirez with a base hit. Travis Shaw with what turned out to be a double to center field, not caught by Coco Crisp. And JBJ with a big hit. Foul tipped and held. No, it was not by the catcher. They're going to say it touched the ground. Ace Ticket, Boston's trusted source for Red Sox tickets, has the best seats at the lowest prices to all the games at Fenway. All with a 200% guarantee. Treat yourself or someone special by visiting aceticket.com or by calling 1-800-MY-SEATS. Two balls, 2 strikes. And Gray's pitch. That drifted away. The Red Sox have really made him work in this inning. Kurt Young, who's the pitching coach, had that role with the Red Sox. And they're former Red Sox all over the place in their dugout and on the field. Jackie leading at second. 3 balls, 2 strikes as he takes off. There's a fly down the left field line. That one's headed for the wall, and it's onto the warning track and up against the fence. The run is in. Mookie into second takes a big turn. He's got a double, and the Red Sox have the lead. How about this rally?
Yeah, Mookie Betts gets a breaking ball on time and not exactly crushed, but put in a nice place down that left field line. There's the breaking ball toward the end of the bat for Betts, but he keeps it in fair territory and drives in a run. Mookie had been struggling 4 for his last 25.
Well, it's nice to be home back here on Yawkey Way, and the Red Sox putting up all these runs against one of the better pitchers in all of baseball. And 5 hits in this inning. And Pedroia trying to keep it going. He's gone 0 for 2. He has grounded out twice.
You talk about those innings, Dave, of keeping the line moving. That's exactly what the Red Sox have done here in the 4th inning.
They're going to get an active bullpen. Fernando Rodriguez getting going. The 1-0 up the middle, base hit. Betts to third. He's going to score, and the Red Sox lead it 6-4. And they just keep on coming and coming.
Well, you know, this is what's been happening with Sonny Gray recently. We're told by the Oakland people that he's been having a tough time getting pitches down. Now, I believe that last pitch was a changeup that stayed up in the zone, and Pedroia takes it back up the middle. Looked like a split grip that time. It's something off speed, and it stayed up in the zone and back up through Sonny Gray up to center field, and Red Sox pick up another run.
6 hits and 5 runs off of Sonny Gray in this inning. And the Red Sox are going to send their 9th man in this frame to hit in Xander Bogaerts. He has doubled and struck out tonight. Red Sox ahead 6-4. Xander has now hit safely in 16 of his last 18 games. He's hitting around 400 in that span.
He was going for it on that one too. That was a fastball that was up in the zone about 93. It looked like Bogaerts was trying to go out of the ballpark with it.
Gray's pitching line brought to you by your Eastern Lexus dealers. 6 earned runs on 8 hits. Oh, 2. And David Ortiz, the man who began this onslaught, is on deck. He's hoping to hit for the 2nd time here in the 4th.
Yeah, nice little slice double down that left field line.
Gray just hoping to get through 4 innings now. Check swing, and that's low. This is the 3rd time this season the Red Sox have put up a 5-run inning. They remain the top scoring team in the American League. Pedroia at first base, and the 1-2.
Well, after that one fastball, he has just stayed down and away from Bogaerts. And of course, with 2 strikes, Bogaerts likes to go the other way.
Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 out.
Couldn't take that pitch the other way. That ball was almost at his ankles. Much the location of this pitch is it's going to be down and in, and really all Xander can do with this is pull the ball.
Xander is one of the top nighttime hitters in the American League, hitting .349 in night games. Two and 2. Pitch number 74 for Gray. All the way to the backstop. That'll put Pedroia at second base. A wild one of the first order.
Well, you take men in scoring position any way you can get them there, and there have been a couple of wild pitches in this game for Gray. This is not the Sonny Gray that we're accustomed to seeing. Tries to snap off a breaking ball, and that ball's so far out of the front that there's really nothing Fagley could do behind the plate.
He was very upset at himself for that pitch. This next pitch is his 30th of the inning. It's been a nightmare frame for him. Red Sox are loving it. Here's the 3-2 with Pedroia at second base. And that's over, but low, and he walked him. So we'll have David Ortiz coming up again, but here comes Melvin, and that's going to do it for Sonny Gray. They handed him a 4-1 lead going into the inning, and now it is 6-4 Red Sox. And Gray is blue. This call to the bullpen brought to you by Kia, and we'll be back with more in a moment. Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. Big inning for the Red Sox, and it's still going. Sonny Gray knocked out after 3 2/3, and he is responsible for the 2 men on base. 75 pitches he has done. It's a big problem for the Oakland A's because he, of course, is their #1 starter. The Red Sox beat him up tonight. Here's Fernando Rodriguez, the right-hander, who has not allowed a run in his past 6 games. That's over 8 1/3 innings. But it'll be David Ortiz who began this run of runs with a double, and he has scored in this inning. Sox have struck for 5 and looking for more. Two down and 2 aboard. And in for strike 1.
Pretty good velocity right there. 94 from Rodriguez.
David Ortiz yesterday passing Carl Yastrzemski for 2nd place on the Red Sox all-time home run list. There's another shot. That's headed for the wall. That's off the green. Pedroia's in to score. Xander Bogaerts into 3rd base. David Ortiz into 2nd base. And the Red Sox keep on slamming away and lead it 7-4. Another run charged to Sonny Gray.
That's 2 times in this inning Ortiz has gone the other way. He started the inning off with a fly ball down the left field line. Look at the location of that pitch. Outside part of the plate. He is absolutely on target. And welcome back to Fenway, where you can take those kind of pitches right there and plant them off the left field wall.
That's the biggest offensive inning for the Red Sox this season, and it's the 2nd double for David Ortiz in this inning. Red Sox getting 6 and maybe more, leading 7-4. Hanley Ramirez, the batter, he's 1 for 2 with a base hit in this inning, and he has scored a run. Fouled away. But this brand of baseball is fun to watch.
Yeah, it is, because with this offense the Red Sox have, and of course you mentioned, Dave, they're #1 in the league in runs, and they should be up there all season long. Credit Chili Davis for the job he's done. He's made these guys use the whole field. He's got them thinking about using the whole field. They're doing that, and it's been a very productive offense.
You pointed out being aggressive when the time comes, when the opportunity comes. Check swing at a pitch in the dirt, and he held it.
Well, you think back to this inning, and it's a small thing, but they put the hit and run on. What do? They stay out of a double play, right? Since then, they've gone on and scored more runs. So just by doing that, you keep an inning alive. You keep the pressure on the Athletics, and they go on and they continue to score runs. So, I mean, it's small things like that that can make a difference.
Here's the 1-1 to Hanley Ramirez. And he gets a piece of that. David Ortiz starting the inning with a double. Hanley Ramirez single. Travis Shaw double. Jackie Bradley singled in 2 runs. Mookie Betts doubled in a run. Dustin Pedroia singled in a run. And David Ortiz has doubled again for an RBI.
I like to see Hanley take the same swing he took last time, moving that ball the other way and maybe scoring Ortiz from 2nd base. It's going to have to be in the gap maybe to score David.
The 1-2 up and in. Fastball underneath the chin.
And that was a misfire. That was supposed to be up and away. Instead it went up and in. Look at the catcher, up and away. Now watch the pitch. That's a misfire by Rodriguez.
Two balls, 2 strikes. 2 out, 2 on. And he would not offer. Pretty good take there on the 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Been a lot of good at-bats in this inning.
They sure have. And that time he tried to go back to that outside part of the plate, but not a strike. After the pitch up and in, the pitch away where they wanted to go last time, and just missed the outside corner.
You know Clay Buchholz is loving this. Here's the 38th pitch of the inning by the A's. Swung on and missed, and that finally ends. But it's the best offensive inning of the year for the Boston Red Sox. 11 men come to bat, and the Red Sox score 6 times. One hit after another. They come from 4-1 down to leading it 7-4. Live right after the game, TC and Steve Lyons will break it all down. You'll also hear from Clay Buchholz and John Farrell. Whatever, whenever, wherever, who but W.B. Mason. If you're just joining us, you just missed something. As the Red Sox scored 6 times in the bottom of the 4th inning to take a 7-4 lead. And now it's up to Clay Buchholz's pitching line, brought to you by Ace Ticket. So far 4 innings and 4 earned runs, trying to pull things together now. He has been handed a 3-run lead.
Yeah, this is the time that he's really going to come out and shut him down here in the 5th inning. The Red Sox have all the momentum going right now in this game.
And Jed Lowry to lead things off here. He's gone 1 for 2 with a single. On to the 5th inning. And what he needs more than anything is a fast inning. He really hasn't had one yet. He's had base runners in every inning. Allowed a Chris Davis home run in the 3rd inning when it looked like it was going to take a nasty turn. The 1-0. Hammered. Pedroia there to his left. 1 man out. And we'll send up Josh Reddick. Josh has gone 0 for 2 in this one, but did drive in a run with ground out in the 1st inning. Reddick, the number 8 hitter in the American League, hitting .319 coming into play tonight. Josh last year hit 20 homers. He drove in 77 runs. Here's the 1-0 from Clay Buchholz, and right through there. John Farrell delighted with the offensive bust out he just saw, especially against the caliber of pitcher that it came against. But a long way to go in this one. Here's the 2-1 from Clay. Tried that outside corner, but came up empty.
Yeah, I'm not saying that should be a strike, but I'm going on what I've seen so far in this game, and it's been a pretty tight strike zone by Rockley behind the plate. Now, I'm not saying that ball should have been a strike, but sometimes it is.
(3-1) on the way. He's taking, and that is low for ball 4. We check out what events are coming up at Foxwoods Resort Casino on May 22nd, 3 doors down. On June 3rd, Al Pacino and Hollywood Vampires on July 2nd. Here comes Carl Willis. Tommy Lane up in the bullpen. What do you suppose Al Pacino is going to do on stage? I'm dying to know.
Al Pacino on stage? I missed. I was concentrating on something else when you were reading that.
Oh, okay. Al Pacino is going to be there at Foxwoods, and I'm wondering, what does he do when he gets on stage? Does he do? Does he sing? Does he dance? What does he do?
That's a good question.
Scenes from The Godfather?
Yeah, that would be good. I mean, maybe he does a line or so from all of his movies. I don't know.
Yeah, a couple of lines. Yeah,
that'd be worth it.
I would go see that.
Yeah.
Scarface.
Yep.
Say hello to my little friend. He's got a lot of great ones. Chris Davis here. He's homered. He's also flied out to right. Reddick with a couple of stolen bases. One down, and Buchholz looking for a double play ball. Popped up foul, back out of play. Well, this is an Oakland team, as mentioned, lost 94 games last year. They finished dead last in the American League West after the All-Star break, 27-44. They went into a big-time tailspin. I'm being told that it's more like a Q&A for Al Pacino about his career.
Yeah, that's not a bad gig.
The 0-1 pitch. High fly into right, but Betts is there. And Mookie makes the grab for the second out.
I like Q&As. I have nothing to say really in a speech. I don't. I have nothing to say, but Q&As I like. I think that's an easy gig.
Yeah.
You know, you take the questions, you answer them the best you possibly can, and you get your check and you go home. And you know, that's what Al does. Right? So why give a speech?
And in some cases, a really big check.
I'm sure Al gets a pretty big check. A little bit more than our Q&As.
Yeah, certainly mine. I'm paying them. Yeah, that's a great gig. I'd see Al Pacino do that. You know, answer questions about Marlon Brando, working with Marlon Brando, working with De Niro. As Vogt takes one down low for a ball. What would you ask Al Pacino in a Q&A? If you had him there.
I'd have to ask him about the Godfather movie.
Oh, yeah.
Godfather 2.
Godfather 2, which is a great movie.
Yeah.
I thought every bit as good as Godfather 1. The first Godfather was, of course, a masterpiece. Second one was, too. I think they both won the Academy Award.
Yeah, they were very good. Right now, the wind's driving me crazy. It's blowing our stuff all over the place.
Yeah. We are not long for the open window tonight. With that wind gusting in. I mean, when it starts.
Yeah, it's changed.
Yeah, we need to have our stuff. The 1-0 is on the outside corner for a strike. I was working a game at Candlestick Park years and years ago, and a gust of wind came and took my scorecard and flipped it right out of the booth.
That's a good feeling, isn't it? That's a great feeling.
All the work you put in, you know, you get your scorecard ready, and before the game started, it went out the window and it landed in another broadcaster's booth. I had to go and retrieve it. They're like 20 feet away. You know, it went up to the top deck and then spun inside.
Oh, you're lucky you got it back anyway.
Got it back. And that was a cold and windy ballpark.
That was a terrible ballpark.
Awful. awful. I don't know how guys played in it. And they put the bullpens right down the lines. I mean, way down the lines. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Well, the second Jason Aldean show has been just announced for September 10th as part of the Plainridge Park Casino Fenway Concert Series. He's co-headlining with Kid Rock. Tickets go on sale Friday at 10 a.m. Visit redsox.com/Jason Aldean for more information.
Hey, you better get those tickets early too.
Yeah, this is a second show. And they're going to go fast. A swing and a miss, and down goes Vogt. So it's a better inning for Clay Buchholz. He pitches around ball 4. And midway through, the Sox lead it 7-4. Red Sox on top 7-4 over the Oakland A's after a huge rally in the 4th inning to push across 6 runs. Travis Shaw was part of that with an RBI double to center field. And he is 2 for 2 to lift his average to 307. He'll be followed by Brock Colton and Jackie Bradley. Jackie had yet another big hit, a 2-run single in that 4th inning uprising. And in there for a strike. And our window is now closed.
A little more comfortable up here right now.
I would say a little. Here we are. 0-2 foul back. Right now, I get 2 slices of pizza and a large fountain of frozen beverage for less than $3. Take a break from the drive-through routine and the endless lines with lunch for under $3 at Cumberland Farms. Last half of the 5th inning and the 0-2 to Travis Shaw. He takes one inside. Marty the intern still has his window open because he's hoping for another foul ball.
He has no say in that though, because that's all Joe. That's Joe's call, right?
It is Joe's call. And Brittany, our intern, has her window open. Line shot and a base hit into left field. He's 3 for 3. Let's go down to Gary.
Guys, 6 runs last inning. We saw a 4 home run performance in New York last night. So maybe naturally one would think the Red Sox this season living and dying by the big hit, which is the home run. But it might surprise a lot of people to think they're right in the middle of the 30 teams, 15th ranked in home runs. They're getting it done with kind of small ball, eking out some singles and doubles. Guys, first in the American League in runs, first in average. And what I think that speaks to, as I kind of hop into your realm, OB, with all the numbers, is just the balance they have. 1 through 9 in the lineup, and then to Jerry's point a couple innings ago, the small ball and the smart stuff they're doing on the base paths.
Yeah, that was fun to watch last night. It was a nice combination of all of that stuff. Red Sox, over the last 13 games, have hit 19 home runs. So, as we thought they might, the home run power is starting to take hold.
When you left for the road trip, they were last in the league in home runs. So they hit quite a few on that trip.
Brock Holt with a runner at first base. He checks and it's inside. Brock has grounded a short and struck out. He's hit safely in 7 straight. Now the Orioles with a half-game lead over the Red Sox coming into play. They've been postponed tonight at Minnesota. So a Red Sox victory would get them back to even with the Orioles. Rodriguez into his 2nd inning out of the bullpen. And too high. 2-1. Sox knocking out Sonny Gray after 3 2/3, tagging him for 7 runs.
There's a chance you could see a hit and run again here. 2 balls, 1 strike, nobody out short first base. Pretty good contact guy at the plate. It's a possibility.
Rodriguez with a 2-1. They were thinking along with you.
You know, you get a 2 ball, 1 strike count. You'll almost always see the pitcher throw to first base because that is kind of an action count. Something could happen on that count.
A 2-1 to Brock. Runner holding. And a check swing. It's too high. Red Sox did not score in the 1st inning in this one. They did score in the 2nd solo run, and they got 6 in the 4th to power into the lead. Jackie Bradley on deck. The 3-1. There's a shot drilled out to right, turning around Reddick on the warning track at the wall, leaps and it is into the bullpen. That is a 2-run homer for Brock Holt, and the Red Sox open up a 9-4 lead.
Now that was a bullet right there by Brock Holt. He gets out in front of a fastball and a kind of a line drive home run. Number 3 on the season for Holt. Reddick going ribs first into that bullpen area.
Man, you could have hung your wash on that line.
Wow.
Well, these last 2 innings have been something for the Red Sox. Everybody hitting. Here's Jackie Bradley. Speedway proud to be New England's first choice for value and convenience, and for every Red Sox homer, Speedway donates $500 to Boston Children's Hospital. Stop by a Speedway store near you and pick up your Speedway rewards card and start earning points today. Jackie with a 2-run single in the 4th inning. He's 1 for 2. He's hit safely in 15 in a row. A rocket by Brock Holt. There's another base hit for Jackie to the opposite field. He's 2 for 3.
You know, Dave, we talked about it in the Open. We did the Open on Jackie Bradley tonight for obvious reasons. 14-game hitting streak, doing everything. But I think what's really made him into the hitter he is now is the fact that he has found left field. I really do. I mean, we saw a home run to the opposite field on the road trip. We saw, you know, some base hits the other way. We're seeing a couple here tonight. I mean, that's how you maintain a high average, not by using just one part of the field. You got to use the whole field to maintain a high average, unless maybe you're David Ortiz, who right now is hitting over 300, basically a pull hitter, but not a pull hitter tonight. He's going the opposite way twice.
Right. And David with a couple of doubles. Jackie with a pair of singles. Sox with a dozen hits already. It's only the 5th inning. So in his 15-game hitting streak, this is updated now, 377 average with 13 RBIs. That's not a light streak. Brings up Christian Vasquez, who has walked and grounded out to short.
Now his OPS in this streak is over 1,000. And we mentioned on the last homestand the average in baseball is about 710. He's over 1,000 in this hitting streak.
Nobody out. He's at first base. Vasquez is the only starter who doesn't have at least one hit. And he'll look at a strike. Sox now with 20 home runs in their last 14 games. And it really hasn't started to get warm yet. The right-hander's 1-1. Nine runs on 12 hits for Boston, 4 runs on 6 hits for the A's. Right-hander Sean O'Sullivan just promoted up from the minor leagues. He will get the start tomorrow night in the middle game of the series, and Rick Porcello will go on Wednesday in the finale against Oakland, and the Houston Astros are here.
Now this is a great time for the Red Sox, you know, to get hot at home, because they've got 13 of 16 right here at Fenway Park, and you want to make home a house of horrors. You really do. You want to intimidate teams before they come in here, and the Red Sox have the type of offense that can do that.
The 2-2 to Vasquez. Checked his swing and he rolled that one foul off the end of the bat. You think about the great Red Sox teams that have won championships or competed for championships. That's exactly what they did. They absolutely dominated at home. Played well on the road, but you dominated home. Sox have been a good road team. They're 10-6 right now, 8-7 at Fenway. But as you said, 13 of 16 at Fenway coming up starting tonight. Two, a little low. Another good at bat by a Red Sox hitter.
See if they send Bradley here on the 3-2 count with nobody out.
Three-two pitch. Swung on and missed. Down he goes, strike 3. Time now for a game break, brought to you by Jordan's, the furniture store, the Boston Red Sox. Here's TC. TC, thank you very much. A shutdown indeed by one Stephen Wright, who was brilliant in the Red Sox victory. Here's Mookie Betts. He has double in a run, grounded out and flied out. One away in the inning. Jackie Bradley at first. And a high fly ball into left center. Hit well. Coco backing up at the wall. He makes the catch. And back to first, Jackie Bradley. With the crack of the bat, it looked like it had a shot to get out of here.
Yeah, and it got knocked down. It really did by the wind, and that wind is howling toward the bullpen area. And there's no question that the ball got knocked down. And we could see it from up here. The ball changed direction and head back toward Coco Crisp. Watch Coco in center field. He has to make a quick left to be able to make the play on this. You see him set up, going to his right now. Now watch him have to come back because that ball's hit so high and the wind takes over, and that wind knocked that ball down.
2 down is Dustin Pedroia, 1 for 3 with an RBI single. Red Sox with a 9-4 lead. And the Red Sox were down 4-1 going into the 4th inning. Dustin Pedroia has now hit safely in 15 straight games against the Oakland A's. That's a strike. It is Tommy Lane warming with intent in the bullpen. So looking like 5 innings will be it tonight for Clay Buchholz, but he did pitch long enough to qualify for a win if in fact he's coming out. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. We'll see what John Farrell has in mind there.
Looks like the way Lane is loosening down there. I mean, it looks like he's loosening to get in the ball game.
Two down. Jackie Bradley there at first base in the inning. Brock Holt crushing a line drive home run into the bullpen. Flared foul by Pedroia.
That's a great foul ball right there by Pedroia. You say it. Zepchinski.
First day. Just say Mark, the lefty.
Yeah. They had to throw that up there while I was making a point, right?
Right, of course. Naturally. Welcome back to the booth, Rim Dog.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Whatever it was Emmy worthy. Cut on and miss. Down he goes. Strike 3. Well, Brock Holt with a bolt, and this one a shot to the bullpen. Red Sox keep on hammering away and lead it 9-4. Geico Red Sox moment honoring the 1986 Red Sox season. In their 32nd game in '86, the Red Sox would lose to the Angels 5-4. Mike Brown gave up 5 runs in 6 innings. He took the loss for the Red Sox. Different story tonight. Red Sox on top 9-4 as we go to the 6th inning. Let's go downstairs to Gary.
Guys, I kind of feel like an idiot because I've been laughing to myself this last 2 innings thinking about the perfect question I would ask Al Pacino. But how about asking him to leave your voicemail greeting like this? hey, you've reached my little friend. Say hello to my little friend, Gary or Dave or Jerry. He can't come to the phone right now, but go ahead and leave a message. That's what my question to Pacino would be.
Yeah. If he did it as Al Pacino, that would
exactly.
be great.
Yeah. That's what he has to do.
I got to tell you, that was a bit of a letdown, Gary, because I was told you were going to do a Pacino impression right there.
Nope, you were lied to. Yep, somebody lied to you. Somebody lied to you.
Yeah. Nobody out here can do one either.
Yep, that makes 3 of us.
And Tommy Lane into the ball game now, facing Coghlan. Red Sox with a 9-4 lead. They have out-hit Oakland 12-6. Lane making his 10th appearance, 2.57 earned run average. So Clay Buchholz finished for the night. He went 5, giving up 4 runs on 6 hits, and again he can pick up the victory. Certainly not what he had in mind coming off of an outstanding effort against Chicago, but he would take the win gratefully.
I don't think the command was there tonight for Clay in this ball game. Had a difficult time finding it, but leaves with the lead.
Coghlan thought about it but laid off. He is 0 for 1 with a grounder to first base. The Red Sox are going to get up Carson Smith. He'll begin to warm in the bullpen. He returned to the Red Sox, got back into the fold in the bullpen on the road trip, and looked very sharp. Coghlan hitting just 143, and he'll take a ball. Coming into this game, the Red Sox were leading the majors in doubles, pacing the American League in runs per game, batting average, on base percentage, slugging percentage, and triples. Softly rolled to first base, fair ball, and got him at first base for out number 1. Stay tuned for Red Sox Final, presented by Plainridge Park Casino. TC and Steve Lyons have scores and highlights from around the American League East. Red Sox getting 6 runs in the 4th inning, 2 more in the 5th inning to pile up a 5-run lead. Yonder Alonso, the batter, he has doubled twice. Alonso born in Havana, Cuba, before his family defected to the United States.
Red Sox got the shift on the right side. Pedroia deep in the outfield grass.
Big cut and a miss for a strike.
Now we'll see if Shaw switches with Bogarts on the 0-1 count, or they'll wait till 2 strikes and maybe make the switch.
And the 0-1 from Lane is down the middle.
Now comes the switch with the 2 strikes. The bunt eliminated from the game plan, and they'll move Shaw back in that position, and Bogarts in his normal shortstop spot. That's why you see that happening when the count goes to 0-2. Takes away the possibility of a surprise bunt down that third base line, which Shaw would be more capable of handling.
They have a right-hander, John Axford. Big hard thrower getting loose in their pen. And the 1-2. And that is in there for strike 3. Got him right at the knee with a fastball.
And Tommy Lane may be used a lot in this series along with Robbie Ross, because there are a lot of lefties in this lineup for the Oakland Athletics. Beautiful pitch there right at the bottom of the strike zone by Lane.
Lexus is making a pledge to strike out hunger. For every strikeout by a Sox pitcher this season, Lexus will donate $50 to the Greater Boston Food Bank. So 2 down and in for a called strike on Josh Phegley, who has gone 0 for 2. Now he's a catcher, but he actually pitched in yesterday's game, which they lost 11-3 in Baltimore. He retired both hitters that he faced. It was his first professional pitching appearance. He pitched 1 inning in college at Indiana University.
That's got to be a strange feeling, doesn't it, to have to go out to the mound and pitch when you're not a pitcher? I mean, it's got to be very weird,
especially when you're a catcher. That one tied him up.
What do you do as a catcher? I mean, call your own game? You must call your own game, right?
You have to.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
I'm going to throw this now. I'm going to throw this.
I'm always fascinated by how the team knows a guy pitched like 1 inning in college. And when a game gets out of hand, we're going to go to him. Down he goes, swinging and missing for strike 3. And it's a 1-2-3 for Lane. He looks sharp. 9-4 Boston. Franchises are proud to give back to the communities in which they live and work, and thousands of kids have had the chance to catch a free Sox game thanks to Dunkin' Donuts. Tonight we welcome the Metro West Boys and Girls Club to historic Fenway Park. Dunkin' Donuts, committed to the community. Jerry Remy, Dave O'Brien, Gary Streisky with you from the ballpark here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Red Sox coming up with a 9-4 lead over the Oakland A's. Xander Bogaerts has doubled, struck out, and taken ball 4 tonight. Facing John Axford, he's their new pitcher. And that one ricochets off his foot. It kicks into foul territory and safely aboard at first base. Xander Bogaerts, not a rocket off of Axford.
Yeah, that's a tough way to come into a ball game. A rocket right back up the middle off the foot, it looked like, of Axford. Take another look on replay. Right back at him. And looks like it got his left foot, or maybe his right foot. Let's take another look. Nope. The left foot as he limps around the infield, and that's a tough way to get started.
I should say so. Trainer out to question him. And go back to the 4th inning, where the Red Sox broke this game open, scoring 6 times.
Now they start with a little bit of a hit and run action. He actually, this is in the middle of the inning. Gets a run to second base. They don't get a double play to get out of trouble. Mookie Betts takes one down to left field. A double driving in a run, and Dustin Pedroia picks up a base hit up the middle to drive in another run. And then David Ortiz once again. Pitch away, taking it off that left field wall. That drives in a run, so the big 6-run inning in the 4th for the Red Sox.
David Ortiz with a pair of doubles and messing with the bat boy. Pair of doubles in that 1 inning. Boy, is he loving every moment of this last season. He is just absorbing everything.
Hey, let me tell you something. If I was playing like him right now, I'd be loving everything too. I mean, he is at the top of his game right now.
Just having the time of his life in what is supposed to be his last season, and he really isn't backing off that, despite getting questioned everywhere we go by a multitude of reporters. David, are you sure? David, are you thinking about coming back? David, have you changed your mind? And he's held fast to this is going to be it. And he made up his mind. Every once in a while, I think he's left a little bit of a door open, you know, maybe, just maybe. Then he kind of closes it again. And pitchers around the American League wish he would just stick to that original decision.
You know, it's early. It's early in the season, but it's got to be very difficult because, look, this is something he's been doing his whole life. And he realizes someday it's going to come to an end. He made that decision this offseason, but yet he's playing lights out. And that's going to make you think, you know, I mean, you know what you're supposed to do. And what he's supposed to do, he wants to retire. But yet you continue to have this fun at the ballpark and this success, and then you know, some thought might pop in your mind, you know, why did I say that? Maybe, you know, but again, it's a long season. We'll see what happens.
Well, this first part of it has been just glorious for him. Right now he is tied for second in the American League in home runs. His pal Robinson Cano has hit 12 for Seattle. David with 9. Axford's going to hang in there after taking that line shot off the foot. And there's a line drive to center field. Coco Cres lunges, he slides, and he hangs on. He made a fine play. Bogart's back to first. And that was more robbery. I mean, David Ortiz could be 4 for 4 tonight.
Yeah, that was an absolute bullet to center field. And that's a heck of a play out there by Coco Cres. I mean, he got a terrific jump on that, and that's hard to do on a line drive that's hit that hard. Now, if that ball's directly at Coco and over his head, that becomes a very difficult play. But because he could go to his left to make it, it gave him at least an opportunity to make that catch. But a very good jump by Crisp. And a bullet by Ortiz.
He's now 2 for 4. Brings up Hanley Ramirez, 1 for 3 with a single and a run scored. Red Sox ahead 9-4 in the 6th inning against the Oakland A's. Hanley hitting .286. Still has not committed an error at first base. Xander Bogaerts has been perfect at shortstop. And downstairs for a ball. Have you downloaded the Sox season schedule into your favorite desktop, web, or mobile device? What are you waiting for? Visit NESN.com/schedule and download today.
Tell you the other thing that Xander's been perfect at is stolen bases. He's 6 for 6.
Popped him up. First baseman Alonso over near the stands, but it's off into the crowd. The Red Sox right now ranked second in the majors with 25 stolen bases and only 27 attempts.
And second behind the Houston Astros, who also will be in here this week for a 4-game series.
Yep. Red Sox went to Houston and won the series in Texas. Houston 12-20. That's a major surprise that they have struggled like that after going to the postseason last year. How about Minnesota? Minnesota Twins made a run at a wild card, fell short last year, but had a surprisingly good team. They are 8-23.
They got off to a terrible start, never regrouped.
The 3-1 to Hanley. And he missed with it. Ball 4. First and second. Red Sox at it again in front of Travis Shaw, who has 3 hits. Hey, tonight after Red Sox coverage on NESN Sports Today, Cyrus Jones talks about the legacy of wearing number 24 for the Patriots. Plus Rob Bradford talks David Price and Dustin Pedroia. NESN Sports Today presented by People's United Bank. See what know-how can do. Travis with a couple of doubles and a single. And every time he's reached, he has scored a run. Two on and 1 out here in the 6th inning. Red Sox looking for more, on top 9-4. Into the dirt. Fegley's been very active back there. Travis is hitting .352 against right-handed pitching. And that was before tonight, with an on-base percentage of .418 against righties. He just loves to swing in this ballpark. The 1-0 from Axford on the corner. A win here tonight. The Red Sox will have won 5 in a row against Oakland and 7 out of the last 8 head-to-head. One pitch, fouled away.
You know, it's interesting, Dave. I've always been of the thought that Fenway Park is a left-handed hitter's ballpark. And I understand you got the green monster out there and all that for the right-handers, but I think sometimes that monster gets right-handers in bad habits. It's a great habit for left-handed hitters who go to the opposite field. If you're strong enough to use it, it's a great weapon to have out there. And then you've got this very large right field if you pull the ball, but there's a lot of open space out there.
1-2. A little late on that one, and down he goes, strike 3. That was on a big fastball at 95.
We're seeing more and more teams now, when they get ahead of Travis, they're trying to go upstairs with the fastball above the belt. Now this one's going to be much higher than the belt. It's going to be about shoulder high, and he chases it. But I noticed on that last road trip that, you know, more and more teams now are getting ahead of him and trying to climb the ladder with him, and that's something he's going to have to adjust to.
He's 3 for 4 tonight. That brings up Brock Holt, who cracked a 2-run homer in the 5th inning. He's 1 for 3. 2 out, 2 on. And a strike. How about the Chicago Cubs after sweeping the Washington Nationals? Now with a record of 24-6, have won 7 in a row. And, you know, not only beating people, but beating them up. Look at that, already with a 7.5 game lead over a good Pittsburgh Pirate team. Seems like the Pirates are always finishing second in that division to great teams. Pittsburgh Pirates have played that 1-game wild card 3 years in a row. They've lost every time.
Yeah, that's right.
That gets old. 2-1. We take a look at these rocket arms presented by Quicken Loans. Jordan Zimmerman right now leading in ERA, but look at Stephen Wright, 1.52. This is in the major leagues. He's number 4 right now.
Now those are all, well, needless to say, very, very impressive numbers.
Cubs with 2 of the top 5. The 2-1. Another good take to make it 3 balls and 1 strike.
Now Brock Holt picking up his 3rd home run tonight. And last year he had 2 in 129 games.
Jackie Bradley, who couldn't be much hotter, is on deck. As one of his home runs was a grand slam at Toronto. Called strike 3-2.
Well, Brock Holt picking up number 3 on a fastball, line drive home run that Reddick goes back, crashes into the wall, but it gets over the glove, and a 2-run shot. 19 RBIs on the season now for Holt.
Bogarts and Ramirez get their leads, and the 3-2 will not be made. Red Sox with a chance to get into double figures in this inning. 9 runs and 13 hits for Boston. Runners will be off to the races here on the full count pitch with 2 down. They go, and it's inside ball 4. The Red Sox have the bases loaded for a Jackie Bradley Jr. Well, don't miss the Charity Classic benefit concert featuring Grammy award-winning Lady Antebellum at the Dunkin' Donuts Center. That's in Providence on June 28th, 2016 CBS Health Charity Classic. Get your tickets right now at Ticketmaster.com/Charity Classic Fenway. Here's Jackie looking for his 3rd hit tonight. With the bases loaded, he's been pretty darn good. If he gets a hit here, his batting average goes over 300. He's right at 299. 0-1.
I think one thing hitters and Chili Davis tries to preach is, you know, when you're in these situations with bases loaded, you as a hitter are in control. The pressure is all on the pitcher.
That's in there for a strike.
Sometimes hitters get into situations, oh, I've got to drive these runs in, I've got to drive, and you know, it takes you out of your game a little bit. Most of the pressure in these situations, I think if you ask any pitcher, they'll tell you it's on me.
Axford with an 0-2 and the bases loaded. Fouled away. Christian Vasquez would be next. The Red Sox season high in runs is 11. That was at Atlanta. They have 9 tonight. 9 for Boston. And Axford's 0-2. That Yaz wind that you were talking about is blowing.
Certainly is. It's howling out to the bullpen areas.
Somewhere number 8 is smiling.
Coming from Canada, right? That's where the wind comes from when it's blowing that way from Canada.
One and 2. Hammered. Well hit. Reddick back. That's gone. That's a grand slam. How do you like that? The Red Sox blow it open. And Jackie Bradley has had himself a night with 6 RBIs.
Now, you were just talking about the Yaz win. Now, I don't know if the wind had anything to do with this because it was hit kind of low. But the fact is, Bradley got a breaking ball, was able to pull that ball right down that right field line. Man, has he had a night. Wow. I mean, I just love what he's doing right now.
They have to.
I mean, he's taking the ball the other way. He's pulling the breaking ball. It's just going beautifully for him right now.
Red Sox ahead 13-4. on a night where Sonny Gray started for Oakland. Jackie Bradley with a 2-run single, another single, and now a grand slam. He really does love the bases loaded.
What are we going to do tomorrow, Dave? We got to do an open. We got to do Bradley again.
Ah, shucks. I think we'll manage.
Breaking ball this time to Bradley. Oh, that ball just stayed up about belt high, and Jackie's all over it.
And just did get out down that right field line. And fouled back by Vasquez. So the Red Sox with a season high in runs, and Jackie right in the middle of it. He's been the engine tonight. Vasquez 0 for 2 with a walk. He is the only Red Sox starter without a hit. Across for a called strike. So the Sox have turned this one into a laugher in their return home. You know, the way things have gone for the Red Sox, getting in at 3 in the morning, I mean, that's plenty of sleep.
Yeah,
the way this season's gone.
It's the norm.
Yes, swung on and missed, and down he goes, strike 3. JBJ strikes. A 6 RBI game for the Red Sox center fielder, a grand slam. Game summary. All Red Sox here tonight. 13-4 over Oakland. Clay Buchholz can pick up the win. Not the longest start for him, but he can get the W. Jackie Bradley said some night he just hit a grand slam, 6 RBIs. Travis Shaw 3 for 4, 2 doubles and 3 runs. And the Red Sox comfortably in front as we go to the 7th inning. And a number of changes here as Chris Young goes into the game now in left field. But Buchholz stays in the contest. Rutledge is now taken over at third base. Travis Shaw has moved over to first base. Brock Holt now at second base. And Carson Smith is the new pitcher, as he delivers a strike here on Semien, who has gone 0 for 2. Carson's second performance out of the bullpen since he came back from his rehab assignment after that right flexor muscle strain, which he suffered near the end of spring training. And he looks completely healthy, to put it mildly. He's got that slider biting.
Yeah, the heavy sinker and the hard slider.
He looked terrific in his performance the other night on the road trip. And you could tell he was delighted to be back at the big league level in this Red Sox pen. Big night for the offense, as the Red Sox are laying it on the Oakland A's. And the 1-2 is cut on and missed, and he blows him away, and that was on the slider. He strikes out Semien.
Yeah, Red Sox pitchers have struck out the last 3 A's they face. Tommy Lane got 2 to end the 6th inning. Now that breaking ball, that's a breaking ball that starts right at the right-handed hitter, and you can see that's a very defensive swing right there. You're not sure how big it's going to break. That's nasty.
And unlike a lot of sidearm guys, he has success on both sides of the plate. Last year, right-handers hit just 169 against him. Lefties just 227. Coco Crisp will take one outside. He's gone 1 for 2 with a single.
And he's not a right-hander that as a left-handed hitter I would like to face, because he throws that heavy baseball, that heavy sinker, and if you don't get it square on the barrel of the bat, it's not a comfortable feeling.
Coco scored the first run of the game in the first inning against Clay Buchholz, but they have not done a lot of scoring yet since then. 2 in the second, 1 in the third. Wendelken now throwing in their bullpen.
That last pitch by Smith was a changeup at 87.
6'6", about 215, out of Midland, Texas. Last year he appeared in 70 games with Seattle. He had 13 saves and a 2.31 ERA. He's gone to 3-1 on Coco, and that just misses for ball 4. Tomorrow at 6, don't miss Red Sox first pitch, presented by Joseph Abboud, available at Men's Warehouse. TC and Steve Lyons break down the potential changes to the Red Sox rotation. Of course, Eduardo Rodriguez trying to make his way back. Sean O'Sullivan will pitch tomorrow night at 7:10 in Game 2. Rick Porcello on Wednesday in this 3-game series with Oakland. Jed Lowry 1 for 3. He singled in the first inning. And now Vasquez would like to pay a mound visit after ball 1.
Yeah, maybe just to tell him that front shoulder's flying out just a little bit, causing that ball to sail away. You tighten it up a little bit, maybe you get a few more strikes.
Carson says he's had an unusual delivery even as a 13-year-old. He changed his arm slot, he said, all the time. There's the 1-0. A strike. Carson Smith struck out 5 Tigers in 2 innings last July 7th against Detroit. Fouled away. I think that Dave Dombrowski took note. He was at that time the general manager of the Tigers. Dave loving the offensive explosion here tonight, no doubt. 6 runs in the 4th inning, 2 in the 5th inning, 4 in the 6th inning. The man who acquired Carson Smith brought him to the Red Sox. Coco at first base, and that'll miss outside. Should the Red Sox win tonight, they would improve to 19-13 and go back to 6 games over 500. They have not been 7 games over 500 yet. The 2-2 is wide.
Everything has been away from Lowry in this at bat, both the fastball and the slider.
One man out. He's looking for a ground ball right at somebody here, but foul. Lowry gets a piece of himself there. That's going to sting.
We've seen that a couple of times tonight. Lowry the latest. We saw Jackie Bradley do it earlier in the ball game. And again, you know, Carson Smith has that type of fastball that sinks, and a lot of times you'll have hitters hit on top of it and right off some part of the lower body.
Hey, do you prefer watching videos instead of reading your sports news? Be sure to subscribe to NESN on YouTube to keep up with all news about the Red Sox, the Bruins, the Pats, the Celts, and beyond. Visit youtube.com/NESN today. Three and 2 on Lowry. Josh Reddick on deck, one away. And a ground ball. Pedroia, I should say Holt, will have it and goes on to first base to get the out. And down into second base is Coco Crisp.
I'm not sure if Brock Holt knew exactly who he was throwing that ball to. You had 2 guys over there. You got Travis Shaw, who got back to the position. You also had Carson Smith covering first base doing his job. That's a pretty good recovery there by Travis Shaw as he waves off Carson Smith, and Brock Holt just throwing it to the bag, hoping one of the two is going to make the play.
Well, 2 down, and Reddick to climb in. He's hitless tonight, which has been unusual for him because he started the night hitting .319. And he'll take outside for ball 1. Reddick had that string of 8 consecutive hits ended right away tonight, but a ground out in the first inning, but he did drive in a run with that. Crisp at second base. Here's the 1-0. Smith with a 2-0 and punch foul on a play. It's one of those games where if you were watching early and the Red Sox were behind 4-1 and maybe you clicked away and came back and you missed the big inning, you missed a lot. That was the 4th inning where the Red Sox scored 6 times to knock out Sonny Gray and grab the lead, and then added 2 more in the 5th and 4 in the 6th. Jackie Bradley with a grand slam in this one.
Now, when you can come back and score that kind of runs on Sonny Gray, you've done something, because as we talked about at the top of the show, he's one of the best right-handers in the league. Now, he's going through a tough time right now, but he'll be back.
Yeah, no question he will be. The 2-2. High fly into center. And Jackie Bradley has it. Oh, he doesn't. He drops it. And a run is going to come in to score. That'll make it 13-5.
I don't know what to say. I mean, that's just totally surprising to me that Jackie Bradley would drop a fly ball. Looks like he's got it lined up, puts the glove up, and right off the last finger on the glove.
It's a shocker.
It is. It's, I mean, what do you say? One of the best defensive center fielders in the league just dropped one.
Looked like he had it all the way. Here's Davis. As he'll take one over but low.
That, by the way, the first error of the season for Jackie Bradley Jr. in center field. He's got 3 assists on the season.
The Red Sox had not made an error in the last 7 games and had committed only 1 in their last 10 before that. They're the top defensive team in the American League, second in the majors in fielding percentage. But a drop. Davis has homered in this one. He takes a home run swing every time. It's also flied to right twice. So here in the 7th inning, 13-5 Boston. Heath Hembree loosening up in the bullpen. Second time for Heath tonight. He's gone to work in the pen, started to heat up. Two balls, 2 strikes. Been a lengthy inning for Carson Smith. He's thrown 25 pitches.
Yeah, I think there's still some rust there. You know, Dave, he's only pitched once for the Red Sox. He had a couple of rehab appearances, and I still think, you know, you haven't seen obviously the best of what you're gonna see from Carson Smith. He's still working his way back.
Two balls, 2 strikes on Davis. Stephen Vogt, who's 0 for 3 tonight, is on deck for the A's. Trying to put him away here. The 2-2 floated toward right. Mookie Betts coming on and clinches that one to retire the side. They get a bit of a gift run there. We go to the bottom of the 7th, 13-5 Red Sox.
First.
Now tomorrow at 6:30, don't miss Red Sox Game Day Live, presented by DCU. TC and Steve Lyons preview Sean O'Sullivan's first start with the Red Sox. DCU, Digio Federal Credit Union. What can DCU save you? Bottom of the 7th inning, Red Sox with a commanding 13-5 lead. And several changes here for the Oakland A's. Both sides making a lot of changes given the score. Alonso will now take over at third base. He moves from first. And Coughlin now at second base. As Mookie Betts checks, and it's in there for a strike. Butler taking over at first. The 0-1 and a bounding ball to Semien, who gathers that. And Wendelken now taking over on the mound.
Yeah, he just made his major league debut yesterday against the Baltimore Orioles. And it didn't go real well for him in that ball game. Back in there tonight.
They get beat 11-3 in that one. Here's Josh Rutledge hitting for the first time. He's hitting in Dustin Pedroia's spot. Continues to swing a good bat. Dustin Pedroia 1 for 4 with an RBI single tonight. He had one of the 7 Red Sox hits in the 4th inning. When the Red Sox came from behind, they were down 4-1 to take the lead, scoring 6 times. Red Sox have also gotten home runs tonight from Brock Holt and Jackie Bradley, who cracked a grand slam. And down and away for a ball, and he will take a walk. Check out an all-new Red Sox report tomorrow at 5. Follow the career of future Red Sox Hall of Famer Jason Varitek. Don't miss this week's Red Sox report tomorrow night at 5 on NESN.
And very soon the Red Sox Hall of Fame dinner will be coming up. Jason Varitek going in along with Tim Wakefield and Larry Lucchino being inducted into the Red Sox Hall of Fame this year.
Yeah, great class. Makes a lot of sense that Wake and Jason Varitek would go in together. Xander Bogaerts looking for a 3-hit night. He has doubled, singled, and taken ball 4. He's also struck out, hitting .317. David Ortiz would be next. Big Papi with 2 doubles. And he could very easily have more hits than the 2 he has tonight. He's hit a couple of shots that were caught. Red Sox 13 and the A's 5. Boston has out hit them 14-6. Been a fun night for the offense. The 0-2 to Xander. Punch foul. "19 games of 10 or more hits for this Red Sox team." Wendelken with an 0-2, and he bounced it up there. I don't think you can say enough about the performance of Stephen Wright last night to get that win for the Red Sox. The bullpen was unnecessary. It was a night off for everybody in that bullpen as he just continues to deal. 1 walk in the game. That one skips away. That'll go to the backstop, and the runner will advance as Rutledge is into second.
That's the amazing thing to me, Dave, is the fact that, you know, in 1 walk, I mean, with that knuckleball, and he looked like, you know, just watching the game on TV last night, it was totally under control for him. And what a run he's on right now. And Red Sox, you know, I know it's early in the season, but you didn't want to go in there and get swept by the Yankees, and he was able to stop that last night and get the Red Sox back home on a winning note. The Red Sox have kind of carried that over tonight, but look at some of the strikeouts. A lot of the knuckleballs were high last night. And they say when it's high, let it fly, but the fact is they would be dropping. And you saw a lot of guys swinging high knuckleballs, but they were not making good contact, solid contact on it.
2-2 fouled back. The time of game was 2 hours 27 minutes. The shortest 9-inning Yankees Red Sox game since 1999. And you know who the happiest guy at Yankee Stadium was? Jack McCormick, director of team travel, because Jack got everybody back home at a decent hour, relatively speaking.
You guys had some rough travel on that line. Bad times.
Yeah. Well,
New York, getting into New York after the Chicago game, what, 5:30 in the morning?
5:30, as that one is up and in. Yeah, we were almost walking through the lobby with the sunrise in New York City.
That's always pleasant.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people come back in when the sun's coming up in New York City.
New York, yeah.
City that never sleeps.
Don't really need to see them all. A 3-2 pitch. He spoils that one and knocks it out of play.
I always felt like the worst about that was not that particular night, but the following day. You had a day game the next day, and I think that's when it hit you.
And it makes sense. The Red Sox had one of their worst games, if not their worst game, on Saturday. Bounced back on Sunday behind Mr. Wright. Here's the 3-2. Fouled back again. Another really good at bat by a Red Sox hitter. I mean, regardless of the score, you have to be impressed by the caliber of these at bats.
Yeah, they're putting some real quality at bats on all through this game tonight. A lot of respect for that man right there, Chili Davis.
Oh, yeah. He did some things in baseball. Tremendous hitter. Here comes the 10th pitch of this at bat. High fly right field, but Reddick is coming in on it now. Rutledge will tag up and advance to third. And so now they're 2 down. Keep up with the Red Sox this season by following Nesson on Instagram. Check out cool images from home games at Fenway, as well as all our road trips. Follow Nesson today at Instagram.com/Nesson. And now David Ortiz again. He has 2 doubles. He's also lined out wickedly to the shortstop and to the center fielder, Coco Crisp, had to make a terrific play way out there in the alley toward the triangle. Grounded foul for strike 1. And David could have a multi-RBI game if he can drive in Rutledge from third. It's already the highest scoring game for the Red Sox this season with 13 runs.
Crazy night at Fenway.
What a cut. 0-2. David with 9 homers and now 28 RBIs, his second highest totals through 32 games, only behind the 06 season. And that year he hit 54 homers and drove in 137 runs. A 1-2. He would not chase.
I get a kick out of those exit velocities. I really do. I get a kick out of that. Like if it's like 120, you should get 2 home runs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Look at this. Tops in the majors with his exit velocity. Pops this one up. Here comes the third baseman, and now the catcher will let it drop in. Nobody caught it. And David Ortiz, and this gives you an idea of the year he's having. That fell in. Well, it should have been caught.
Yeah, you know, they're back in the shift. The third baseman is deep. The pitcher almost never catches it. They let somebody else do it. And the catcher really has no chance at this because the ball's going away from him. He's looking out to his left. He comes back to his right. He can't make the play. You know, there's a case where I think the pitcher should just call everybody off. They can catch fly balls. They do it all the time during batting practice. Why? I've never understood why on plays like that they just don't take it.
It is ruled an RBI single. for David Ortiz. So that's the kind of year he's having. Even when he doesn't scald it, he's getting himself an RBI hit. The Red Sox on top 14-5 as Rutledge came in to score.
By the way, the exit velocity on that one was about 87.
That's going to bring that average down a little bit. Here's Young for the first time tonight. David Ortiz 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs. There's a shot to dead away center. Crisp at the track and makes the catch. And that will retire the side. David Ortiz with an infield single of a different variety, and the Red Sox lead it 14-5. Baseball on Nesson is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. By Hair Cuttery, smart looks, smart prices. By Citizens Bank, visit citizensbank.com. And by the University of Massachusetts, here for a reason. Red Sox 14 and the A's 5 as we go to the 8th inning. Jerry Remy, Dave O'Brien, Gary Streisky alongside. And a new pitcher, that'll be Heath Hembree, trying to move things along here toward a Red Sox win. 15 Boston hits to just 6 for the Oakland A's. Think Energy, powering Fenway, and the smart choice to power your home. Visit thinkenergy.com to enroll today. Stephen Vogt will lead things off. The DH has had a quiet night, 0 for 3. He's lined to third, fly to center, and struck out. One of the better hitters, certainly, for the Oakland A's. They're not doing a lot of scoring these days. They're 1-6 over their last 7 for the season, scoring just 3.6 runs per game. Unless they can pick that up and get Sonny Gray going, Jerry, it could be a long summer for them.
Yeah, you know, they're having their real difficulties right now with their starting rotation. A good time for the Red Sox to face these guys, and especially Sonny Gray tonight, who has been struggling a little bit over his last couple of starts and did again tonight.
Slashed and fouled out of play. Coughlin on deck, and then Alonso here for the A's. We've got a run in the first inning, 2 in the second, another run in the third. They had a 4-1 lead with their ace on the mound. A liner, but foul.
I love that last sign by Vasquez. All he did is point up. He didn't even throw down the number 1. He just pointed up. He wanted a fastball up in the zone. That's where they got it, and he fouled it off. But Vasquez, watch him just point up. Get it up there. Vasquez would have liked it a little higher, I think.
0-2. Bounced up there. Embry, the third Red Sox reliever to make an appearance tonight. He'll deal the 1-2. And again fouled away by Vogt.
That's the games, the catches and pitches, and will play against hitters. You saw Vasquez telling Embry to shake off the sign because, you're kind of looking for a fastball. So by shaking off, you give the hitter something else to think about. Well, maybe you're going to throw me a breaking ball. Instead, they come back with the fastball. Here we go upstairs again. Pretty simple, right? Get it up there.
95, but too high. Embry has really pitched well. He's turned into a very reliable guy for John Farrell out of that bullpen. Up the middle, a dive and a miss by Brock Holt, so it'll be a clean single in the first of the night for Stephen Vogt. He's on here in the 8th.
That's a small thing, but I want to stay on Vasquez for a second because he did something there that, if you come to the ballpark, it's hard to see, but you can see it on TV. They wanted to go inside on the hitter, so what does he do to notify the umpire that he's going to go inside? He gives him a little tap, letting him know that we're coming inside so he can be ready for that pitch. If it's a close pitch, they might get the call. But that's exactly what he did on that last pitch that resulted in a base hit. But just little things that, are hard to pick up from the stands. We'll take another look at it. Now watch Vasquez. They want to go inside. Now watch him tap the umpire. We're coming in. So the umpire's ready for the inside pitch. But they didn't get it inside. They left it out over the plate. But he's trying to, tell the umpire, we're coming inside, be ready for it.
Umpires have to love that because they're on alert now.
Yep.
Another liner up the middle for a base hit. So back-to-back hard hit singles. And there are 2 on here in the 8th inning for Oakland. That's got to be a bonding thing for a catcher and an umpire.
Yeah, I think umpires got to love it, because, they got an idea where this is going to be. And from a catcher's point of view, you're trying to talk him into a pitch is what you're trying to do. You're letting him know that, look, we're coming inside. So even if it's off the inside edge, 3-4 inches, you might get the call because he's focused in that direction.
You see umpires and catchers, have that relationship a lot of the time behind the plate. And then when an umpire gets drilled, that's the end of that relationship. When a catcher doesn't make the play.
Yeah, that happens too.
Here's Alonso batting with 2 on. He'll take ball 1. That was why it was so unusual to hear what we did the other night with Ron Culpa. After the fireworks, David Ortiz was rung up and thrown out of the game, and John Farrell. And after the game, Culpa addressed the media, at least a pool reporter, and he kind of tossed Brian McCann underneath the bus, I thought, when he said, the reason that I had trouble with that pitch was because of McCann. He said McCann didn't help me, where he got crossed up a little bit.
Well, where was the pitch when it went across the zone? I mean, that, what bothered me about that reminded me so much of the old days in baseball where umpires would personally get you.
Right.
They would personally get you. And I don't think there's as much today in the game as there used to be, but this was clearly an I'm going to get you situation.
On this 3-2, yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
And he look at the way he called the strike. I mean, he loved it. And that used to happen a lot in baseball, a lot more than it does today. But that reminded me, that brought me back. And Culpa just smirking at him,
Brought you back in a way you didn't want to go back.
No, and it used to happen all the time. I'll tell you a story, a true story. I got into trouble one day complaining about a third check swing with Larry Barnett, who was down at third base umpiring that night. And I yelled some stuff from home plate to third base. Well, in those days, the umpires used to come through the Red Sox dugout prior to the game. And I was sitting there getting ready for the game. And Barnett, I'll never forget this, came up to me and said, "We're going to get you."
Came up to you and said that?
He said that right to my face as I was sitting there. He says, "We're going to get you."
Wow.
And you know what they did? They got me that night. I went to try a drag bunt for the first time in 10 years. I got called for being out of the batter's box. I got to first base. Mike Riley was the umpire at first base, and he said, "I got good news and bad news. The good news is the ball went foul. The bad news is you're out for being out of the batter's box." That was intentional, and I'll never forget it.
Wow. And no replay back then.
No.
High fly, tag to right field. Mookie Betts with room, however. He'll make the catch. The runner at second will tag and advance into third base. It's Stephen Vogt. Hey, from improving your diet to the latest cancer treatments, learn all about stomach disease this month from experts at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center. Visit bidmc.org/yourhealth. Well, Jerry, I've got some good news for you. You got the last word on that.
I got it right now. Yeah, I didn't get it then, though. But they made it very clear to me that they were going to get me.
How about that?
And there was nothing you could do in those days because they weren't monitored the way they are today, And I think for the most part, they're better behaved.
Yeah.
But Culpa showed me the other night that still exists.
Yeah, it sure did. Or it felt like that as Fegley hits one to deep short. Bogart's into second, one on to first. The Red Sox turn to double play. First one of the ball game as it goes 6-4-3. Red Sox ahead 14-5. Clubhouse, be a part of the show. Go to NESSONClubhouse.com and click on Studio Audience right now. Put your son or daughter's team in the mix. Red Sox with a big lead here, 14-5 as we go to the last half of the 8th inning. And Sean Doolittle will make an appearance now, the left-hander. He'll be the new Oakland A's pitcher, tied for third among American League relievers in games with 16. He's lost a couple. He missed 121 games because of a couple of stints on the DL over the last couple of years. When healthy, he's a very tough one. Travis Shaw's had a big night. He is 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and a single. Red Sox leading 14-5 here in the 8th. And Brock Holt, who cracked a home run tonight, is on deck. So Travis in search of a 4-hit game. Sean O'Sullivan to pitch tomorrow night for the Red Sox. And Rick Porcello to go on Wednesday. Rick will go in 5-1 with a .295 earned run average. Red Sox with a 6-run 4th inning. Most runs in 1 inning this season. And a ball outside. Now, Travis started the night hitting .295. He's now batting .310. It's still early enough in the season where that kind of thing can happen. You can make a jump like that. Well, the bat goes flying into the stands. Everybody got out of the way, though. Everybody's okay. That went hurtling over the top of the protective netting.
Now that's up there pretty high, and there's only so high you can go with that netting. I was actually down on the field today and sitting behind those nets, and it's not bad at all. It really is not. You get used to it very, very quickly.
Sox have added that protective netting behind home plate to the dugouts at Fenway. Major League Baseball has extended netting between the dugouts for all field level seats within 70 feet of home plate this year. We talked to Rob Manfred, baseball commissioner, while we were in Chicago, and he seemed to indicate that one thing that still might be up for discussion among some season ticket holders, some fans, is the idea of maybe, just maybe, reducing some of that netting come next year in certain ballparks in terms of a negotiation with fans in some ballparks that still want to be able to see without the net in front of them as Shaw goes down with a swing and a miss. Didn't say it was definitely going to happen, because kind of intimated it might be something they could negotiate.
But how?
That certain fan bases have complained that, hey, we're going to be safe. We believe we're going to handle this, you know, in the way we should. We're going to always pay attention to the field, and that's where we're going to sit. I'm with you, though. I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, I don't know how you get that done. And to be quite honest with you, like I said, I was down there today. I was curious, you know, because we always see the people sitting behind home plate, and I actually sat in those, you know, seats that were close to the field. I was doing a function down there, and I took the opportunity to do that. And quite frankly, I didn't find it bad at all. You know, you get used to it.
Get used to it.
Yeah.
And it's a great seat. It's
a terrific seat.
I always thought when I came to Fenway as a kid, if I could sit behind home plate where there's always netting, that was the greatest day of my life.
Yeah.
You know, sit 15, 20 rows back.
You know, I think it just makes it safer for the folks. I mean, you got to focus on every single pitch.
Fouled away by Brock Holt, who belted a home run in the 5th inning, a 2-run shot. He's 1 for 3.
I must admit, I was curious to see how it was going to look when we got back to Fenway. You know, we heard about it in spring training, and I was curious to see how it was going to go. And quite frankly, after doing a number of games here, I don't even recognize it now. I mean, it's just part of the ballpark.
Sure. 2-2, foul tipped out of the mitt.
Now, those who sit in those seats may feel differently than I do, but I just, you know, sat down there today and this is bad.
Well, it happened all around Major League Baseball. The 2-2 on the way. Semien will dig that out at short and get him. 2 down. Tomorrow night, it's David Price bobblehead night at Fenway Park with Astro. First 15,000 fans in attendance receive a David Price bobblehead, courtesy of Nikon. For tickets and more information, visit redsox.com/promos or call 877-RED-SOX-9.
Hey, Dave, looking on the bobblehead. Even his knee is higher on the bobblehead and the glove's higher, isn't it?
It is. I knew you'd pick that out. Jackie Bradley with a huge night tonight. 3 for 4, a grand slam, 6 RBIs. He has scored twice. Red Sox ahead 14-5 and back to the grand slam in the 6th inning.
Gets a curveball right there, breaking ball, and it stays about just above the belt. And right up the top of the wall, it looked like. And bounced into the stands for the home run.
And the wind was blowing. We don't know if it affected it or not. We want to think that maybe the Yaz wind was in play there. Just a little nudge. But Jackie just continues to be red hot with a bat. He has run his inning streak to 15 in a row tonight in style. That was with a 2-run single to start it. A wave and a miss for strike 3, and the Red Sox go in order. That hasn't happened much tonight. They have a huge lead as we go to the 9th inning, 14-5. Wants to learn more about baseball or the Red Sox, visit NessonClubhouse.com. It has videos, games, and a whole lot more. Fun, free, and easy to use. Visit NessonClubhouse.com today. On to the 9th inning. And Marcus Semien will lead things off here. Red Sox with a huge lead, 14-5. Their biggest offensive performance of the year with 15 hits. And Hembry staying on to pitch here with Coco Crisp on deck. He's here for 3, and then the Houston Astros are in town. Red Sox have already seen the Astros and beat them in the series in Texas. 2-1. Semien has gone 0 for 3. He's lined out to third, hit into a fielder's choice, and struck out. He does have 8 home runs. And the 2-1. Fly to center field. That's hit pretty well, but Jackie Bradley is back there on the track and will put it away. This is our cricket something to smile about moment. The grand slam by Jackie Bradley. And who wouldn't be smiling after that? Right on top of that fence. And 6 RBIs for Jackie tonight. Here's Coco Crisp. He has drawn a couple of walks tonight. He has scored both times. He's also singled. And he'll take a ball. Red Sox are about to improve to 19 wins and 13 losses. And will pull back into a first place tie with the Orioles because they were rained out in Minnesota. And the Sox will gain half a game.
Well, that would mean they'd have to play a doubleheader at some point in this series, right? Because I'm sure they only visit Minnesota once during the season, so they'd probably have to be a day-night doubleheader involved.
Yep. Well, Oakland just had to play a doubleheader in Baltimore. That one stung, a line drive, but foul. And those early season doubleheaders. And the A's have already played one. Red Sox ahead here in the 9th inning, 14-5. Fly into left field. Young on his horse. That's over his head. Into second base, Coco Crisp. He's got himself a double. His second hit tonight.
He's been on base 4 times tonight. He's got a couple of walks, a base hit to drive in a run. Now the 9th inning double.
And we'll send up Butler for the first time. Billy Butler hitting just 190 with no home runs. He's hit the Red Sox well in his career. 300 lifetime average against Boston. He's been a good line drive hitter in his career. And he'll take ball 1. Now for the Red Sox tonight, Xander Bogaerts with 2 hits. Travis Shaw with 3 hits. Brock Holt with a 2-run homer. David Ortiz with 3 hits and 2 RBIs. So the offense rolling here in game 1 against Oakland. One of those nights you come in and you say, well, it's Sonny Gray on the mound. You know, one of the best in the American League. 14-7 last year. 2.73 ERA. Runs are going to be tough to come by. Need to look up in the 9th inning. The Red Sox have 14 runs, 15 hits. Liner, and there's Mookie to make the catch. 2 down in the 9th inning.
You know, and honestly, David, for the first few innings, it looked like it might be that kind of night for Sonny Gray. But the Red Sox quickly put that 6th spot up in the 4th inning, and it was pretty much game over from there.
That was a lot of fun. Red Sox scoring 12 runs in those 3 innings. Here's Josh Reddick. He's really been quieted tonight, even though he's been on base a couple times. A walk and a drop fly ball by, of all people, Jackie Bradley. But the Red Sox have kept him out of the hit column, and he came in having a run of 8 consecutive hits going back to the Baltimore series they just played in and tied a franchise record. Another former Red Sox player at the plate, and he looks at a strike. 1-1 the count. 2 down, runner at second base. Giant lead for Boston. So the win here tonight, the Red Sox would play tomorrow to go to a season high 7 over 500. And that would be with Sean O'Sullivan on the mound. Clay Buchholz would get the win tonight. These hardy fans staying all the way through to the end. And they have enjoyed the offensive performance. And a 1-2 pitch. 2-2. One more strike to get for Hembree. And the 2-2. And a base hit into left center field. Coco Crisp will come on in to score. Now 14-6. Reddick with an RBI single.
Now cooled off a little bit tonight, but does pick up the base hit to drive in a run. Second RBI of the night. 5-game hitting streak now for Reddick, as he defeats the shift by hitting the ball directly at shortstop.
So one former Red Sox player drives in another. Sends up Chris Davis. He blasted a home run in the 3rd inning. That was off of Clay Buchholz. That made it 4-1 Oakland. They'll pay no attention to Reddick. He'll advance to second base on the changeup inside. So Clay Buchholz will improve with a victory to 2-3. And the Red Sox will get this homestand off on quite a note with all of these runs. Two down in the 9th. And Hembree looking to end it. He fires in a strike, and it's 1-2. Hembree tried to end it with a K. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Davis. And a line drive into left center field. That's going to bounce on the grass and roll all the way to the warning track. Another run is in to score. Heading into second base, Davis, and he's there with a stand-up double.
Well, all in all, I mean, the Athletics, who are getting beat pretty bad in this game, have to feel pretty good about their offense tonight. I mean, they've scored some runs. They've got some base hits in this game. So it's not certainly anywhere close to what the Red Sox have done, but gets a pitch that's a little bit on the outside part of the plate and able to hook that ball up the middle for the double. Drives in a run. So Hembree trying to get that final out of this game.
Elusive. 14-7.
Been that kind of night.
Here's Stephen Vogt. He is 1 for 4. And he takes a ball outside. Vogt an all-star last year for the A's when he hit 18 home runs. DH tonight. Here in the 9th inning. 2 runs in on a couple of extra base hits. 3 hits total. And you're right, the A's at least can look at this on their offense and go, well, it's a pretty good night. 11 hits for Oakland. 2-0 is way outside. So now 3-0. And all of a sudden, this has become a struggle for Hembree.
Yeah, you just have to wonder if, in his second inning here, he's fatiguing some, and John Farrell going to the phone.
We would hate to have to get anybody heated up here in there for a strike with a 7-run lead. But Tazawa is starting to warm.
Now, hopefully by the time he throws his first pitch, the game will be over.
Line drive down the right field line, but foul. So to count 3-2, and once again, 1 strike away. Sox ahead 14-7 with 2 out in the top of the 9th inning. Now the 3-2 home. Swung on and missed, and this one is history. The Red Sox win it by a final score of 14-7. Now that's a way to start a homestand. And TC, particularly going back to that 4th inning when the Red Sox hung up 6 runs, a season high in any inning so far in 2016, and they roll tonight over Oakland.